What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of the Sit Down. As always, if you enjoy this video, please make sure you hit that like button and let me know what you think of today's very interesting interview in the comments section below. If you're new around here or you just haven't done it yet, please do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button now so you never miss another Sit Down video. If you're listening to us on iTunes, Spotify, or any other podcast platform, welcome in as well. Please leave me a detailed review and a 5-star rating. What's up, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Sit Down. I am your host, Jeff Nadu. Today we have a really interesting show planned. I've been really trying to interview this guy for a while. We've been able to get our schedules aligned here, and we've talked to a lot of people on this channel that have been to prison. We have spoken to people that have been to prison for 10 years. We have spoken to people that have been to prison for 18, for 20, 25 years. That said, today we're going to speak to a person that has been to prison for nearly 50 years of his life. To me, he is one of the most interesting people I've ever seen interviewed. He really can tell a story on the gamut of really anybody we've ever talked to on this channel or about on this channel, including Tommy Silverstein, John Gotti, Larry Hoover. The list really can't really be talked enough about. He spent 26 years of his life in the ADX. Think about that, folks. I am 36 years old myself. Today we're going to talk to a guy. His name is Fly. His actual name, though, is Khalif Mujahid. We're going to speak to him. Assalamu alaikum, Fly. Thank you for joining me, man. I've been trying to get you on. I had a couple of things that went on. I got in a car accident, as I told you. I told the audience, but I'm back. I'm ready to go. I'm glad we could align. You've really only spoken to really Eon, who we've had on the channel. We're big fans of his and what he does. I want to welcome you in. Thank you for joining me, man. I really appreciate it.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you for jumping on. So this is our first time speaking to you, and as customary on this channel, I want to take you all the way back. 1954, you were born. All right, you're from the D.
Born in 53, but I lied on when I got locked up, said 54, but I was born in 53.
Beautiful. Why'd you lie?
Because I was trying to get juvenile. I was
Oh,
trying.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. So you're from DC. You're a guy who you've been around a long time. Just tell me about when you were growing up in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
What was DC like? What was your childhood like? What was your family like? Tell me a little bit about that.
I come from a very large family in Washington, D.C., and my grandfather was a hustler. My mother's brothers was hustlers, and one of them was in Alcatraz back in the days with Bumpy Johnson and them. I come up on my mother's side of the family was pretty much gangsters. On my father's side was working brothers and come from a good lifestyle. But on my mother's side was a family of gangsters, hustlers, and drug dealers and dope fiends. So growing up in the 60s, I always aspired to be like my mother's side, because my grandfather had one of the biggest names in Washington, D.C. They called him Pot Kenny. And my mother had 9 sisters, 3 brothers, and dope boys, stick-up boys, you know what I mean? A lot of my cousins that was older than me, drug dealers, stick-up boys, and I had a cousin named Rabbit Brown, who Cadillac Smith and them come up under. Rabbit was one of the most vicious gangsters in Washington, D.C., and it was a vicious killer. And I always used to hear about him through my mother and my mother's sisters and family. And I couldn't understand why everybody was so terrified of him, you know what I mean? And even in the streets and in the prisons. So I pretty much came up with that in my blood, but I also was so intrigued about the fight game. You know what I mean? I always wanted to be a fighter, and I was always impressed by the guys in my neighborhood who was the baddest guys with their hands and the best dressers in the neighborhood. And, you know, so I come up in the lifestyle in the 60s where in DC was pretty much always all black as far as I remember. And, you know, I wasn't in poverty, but we wasn't well off. You know what I mean? We come up in the projects. We moved in Washington, over in Southeast Washington, D.C. when I was about 4 or 5 years old. And it was one of the worst neighborhoods in the city. But back then, it wasn't a whole lot of projects in the 50s because we moved in a wooded area where they had very little few projects on one side of the street and private homes on the other side. And I came up in a neighborhood, man, where you had to know how to fight to survive. You know what I mean? So I started off down at supermarkets with dudes in my school where we used to carry grocery bags to make money. Then we started stealing cartons of cigarettes and steaks to make money because I'm following the old guys. You know what I mean? And you always hear about somebody in the neighborhood that got locked up. So when you hear the jail stories, you hear about if you ever get locked up, you can't tell. You can't let nobody take your butt. You can't let nobody take advantage of you, and you got to fight back. So I used to hear stories about if you go to receiving home, which where they send the youth. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So stories was, don't let nobody take your cigarettes if you get a cigarette break. Don't let nobody take your chair, and don't let nobody take your 2 slabs, your toast. So I pretty much had in my mind, one day I'm gonna wind up over there. I gotta remember what I'm supposed to do. You know what I mean?
So real quick, you were kind of understood that's what your life was going to be, right? You had to learn to fight, you know, and look, in those neighborhoods, you know, you got to do what you got to do to survive. I would just quickly ask, what was your father's influence in your life? Did he ever try to say to you, you know, bro, let's maybe get a job, try to, it was just hard though, because you had so many people on your mother's side that were so well off, you know, not well off, but they did better than some. Was your father involved with
my father was a working man and a good dude, man, and he spoiled me. He gave me everything I wanted. But he left my mother when I was an infant.
I see.
So growing up, all I remember is my stepfather with my mother.
Do you think if your father was around, do you think you would have?
He was in my life.
Okay.
He always came and got me. I always spent the night with him.
Gotcha.
Every time I needed something, he gave it to me. But I was more intrigued to follow my mother's side of the family because I was, you know what I mean? I told you we had one of the biggest families in Washington, D.C.
Sure. Yep.
And so even though my father, he did everything he could to guide me in the right direction. But in my neighborhood, you know what I mean? You grow up around your peers, man, and if this guy got a pair of shoes, the expensive shoes, I go tell my mom, I need a pair of them shoes called such and such. You know what I mean? She'll scrape up some coins and get them, or tell my father he'll get them. So when I used to hear about guys getting locked up, that I used to admire the older guys that was the best fighters in the neighborhood, the best dressers. And I always hung around older guys, you know, and I was more impressed. And my oldest sister's or boyfriend, who was my nephew's father, he was like one of the leaders in the neighborhood.
Gotcha.
And man, I loved him so much. I used to try to walk like him, talk like him, and he always made sure I dressed nice. And he had a crew around him that was in everything. You know what I mean? So my first time getting locked up, I was 10 years old.
Wow. What was that for?
Stealing.
Okay.
And took me home. My mother whipped my butt. And
What did you steal?
I stole some clothes down the shopping center for my girlfriend.
For your girlfriend?
Yeah, I went.
Trying to impress her. That's cool. Not wrong with that.
Girlfriends, different things. And I went there and I said, I'm going to go steal something for Brenda. And I think it was G.C. Murphy's. And I went down there in the girls' department and put some stuff under my arms and in my pants and got busted coming out the door. Second time I got locked up, we was hooking school. The police called us for truancy. And once you get a taste of being a criminal or getting handcuffs put on you, and you come back in the neighborhood and the guys say, what was he like, man? What you do? Or you hear the older guys say, I knew you was going. Why? They say, cause the way you act, man, the way you always ask questions. I was very inquisitive. You know what I mean? So, and I told you, on my mother's side, from my grandfather all the way down, they had been in prison. You know what I mean? My uncles, my cousins. And I just was more inspired to follow their footsteps than on my father's side, because my father's brothers worked, career workers, and good men. You know what I mean? Good men. My grandfather, all of them. And I love being around them, but when you go back home, you back in your same environment. You know what I mean?
So you're kind of being pulled two different ways.
Exactly.
And look, I've talked about it on this channel, and it seems all too real. You know, every person I speak to, their fathers were involved, their uncles were involved, somebody involved in their life. It's pretty rare that someone just chooses that life, right? It's kind of in your blood, as you mentioned.
Right.
I want to ask you about DC, right? So someone like, we've all heard of Rayful, right? Rayful was, I believe, about 10 years younger than you. Did you know him? Did you who were kind of some of the big timers back when you were coming up, you know, really before you went to prison?
Big time as far as what? Getting money?
Yeah. Like, what did you know when you were young? Like, let's say 70s. Did you know Rayful's still pretty young at that point? But like, who was he running around with? Some of the same people you eventually were with, or?
No, I didn't hear about Rayful till 1988.
Okay.
Well, when I was coming up, you know, I used to hear about dope boys like Catfish Turner and like I was telling you about my cousin Rabbit Brown, was one of the vicious stick-up boys in the city.
Okay.
But the dope boys was my family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My uncle Hightower was one of the biggest dope boys in the city. And some of my cousins. But see, 14th and T and 14th and U was the main strip in Washington, D.C. in the 60s and the 70s. So you see the pimps, the hustlers, the dope boys, all of them used to be on 14th Street. So when the Navy Yard, where the sailors and stuff were stationed at, and the Marine barracks over in Southeast, they used to always come up 14th Street to trick on weekends.
Right there, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's where the whole stroll was. But I used to hear about Catfish Turner, man, and Old Man Doach, and so many old dope fiends. But
they kind of set the table for people like yourself. You know, they were kind of people.
But you gotta understand, nobody was getting that type of money. See, back in the 50s and 60s, $150,000, you rich.
Of course.
You had $8,000 Cadillac, a fur coat, diamond ring, and watch, you know what I mean, and live in a high rise, you rich.
Sure. That's what you want to be, right? Who wouldn't want to be that?
So, you know, when you see a dude in Washington, D.C. back in the 60s with a Cadillac, I say he getting some money.
Right.
You know
you want to get that money too. I understand.
But in my neighborhood, the biggest dope boy was a guy named One Arm Bill and Old Man Albert. It was in Southeast. One Arm Bill owned the car. Y'all, he had one arm, he had a hook, but he had all the dope in Southeast. So all the guys that I come up looking up to used to work for Bill, you know. And Old Man Albert, big dope boy. Old Man Albert had about 15, 16 kids, and his son Naughty Pine, you know, I used to look up to him. He had a lot of dope back in the days. So I'm trying to think whose name used to be ringing in Washington, D.C. in the 60s. That was big dope boys that I used to look up to.
Now, these guys you're talking about, they had direct connects to New York and things like that?
They was going up New York. Even
that-
my sister's son's father, when he was going up New York, I used to ride up there when he was getting dope from Nicky Barnes and Frank Lucas.
Did you ever hear the name? You obviously know Frank Matthews. You ever hear that name?
I just hear Frank Matthews. But when I came home from my first adult prison, one of the richest dudes in the city had all the dope, had the Amsterdam Connect, was a friend of mine named Earl.
Now, so he was kind of the big guy at that point?
He was the biggest dope boy in D.C. in the early 70s.
And when you say dope, what kind of stuff for that? Was it just heroin?
Heroin.
Okay.
Heroin.
So take me to, obviously, you know, you were either going to be a fighter, but you had to be a fighter in general because that's the way your neighborhood was. I guess before you get into like the crimes that you committed and all the other stuff, was there anything you wanted to be when you were younger? You know, we all have dreams of being a baseball player or something like that. Was it just a fighter? Did you ever have a dream to do anything else?
Nah, I really wanted to be a fighter, man. I was so impressed. See, look, in 1963, my stepfather, my uncle, Stickpin, that lived with us, they sit me down to listen to Muhammad Ali fight in 1963. He was fighting over in England, Henry Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
They was bragging, they was making jokes about how he be bragging all the time, rhyming, and when I heard him, and I heard how everybody was clapping, so when I finally seen him in 64 on TV, I said, I can do that. And the guy named Sammy Hilliard, who's one of the best fighters in my neighborhood, him and Willie Washington, they were the best fighters in the neighborhood. And I asked him, I said, man, can y'all fight like Cassius Clay? Sam Hilliard could fight. And he had a brother named Eugene Kitt, who was one of the best fighters in Lawton. So I said, man, I'm gonna fight one day. And they used to always talk about how wide my shoulders was. So you got them big broad shoulders, you can be a fighter or a football player one.
I noticed that about you. You do have very broad shoulders.
We used to talk about how wide my shoulders were. So every now and then I just pick a fight with somebody in the neighborhood just to see what I could do with them. You know what I mean? And I never had no admiration to workforce.
You just wanted to, I
wanted to be a hustler or a fighter.
I understand. You don't have to, it's no more simple than that. I understand.
Yeah,
sure.
I ain't all that fireman. I ain't want to do none of that. Police, doctor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I ain't even think like that.
There's nothing wrong with that. I understand. Okay. So take me to 1973. Because I think the interesting about you, Fly, is like, it's obviously not interesting. It sucks for you, obviously, but you were born in, you know, essentially the mid 50s. And by 1973, you're involved in a crime. Okay. And you wouldn't see the light of day again until very recently. Take me to 1973, kind of the things that surrounded what you were up to, and kind of take me to the sentence and everything.
I came home June 15, 1973. And my oldest daughter's mother had got locked up 2 months before I came home. So my other daughter's mother, I had two women. So I went and picked her up my first day home, June 15. And she took me around where everybody hung out. I met a brother and them, and I wanted some drugs. So they said, we're gonna get you high, man. I said, I need some money too. So everybody happy to see me home. But what I found out, Jeff, was the guys in my neighborhood who I was hanging out with before I went to prison was sticking up. And man, I'm talking about some of these guys I never imagined would go that route. So I had a guy named James Campbell, a guy named Otis, Ladio, and Speedy was sticking up. So a guy lived up the street from me, an old time named Billy Valentine. His wife Audrey, I used to love her. You know, we was real close. So I went to see Audrey and Billy. He said, man, a dude sold me this rifle. I don't need this rifle. You want it? I said, yeah, give it to me. He said, you're going to have to give me something for me. I said, just give it to me. So I told my crew, I said, I got a rifle. I'm going to start sticking up with y'all. Because before I went to jail, I was selling dope. So I just took the role of the leader because I think I had more heart than them.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, what we going to take? So we robbed a club on Martin Luther King Avenue. We had a shootout. And the guy dropped my rifle. And I said, man, take him down on the highway. I'm going to kill him. They said, no, you can't kill him because his family seen us pick him up. You can't. If he come up there, they going to say he was with, you know what I mean? So I said, every time I see you, you better have some money. So we started sticking up drug dealers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sticking up with different people. So the guys in my neighborhood thought I turned my back on him because I started robbing him. They said, he didn't went crazy. He robbed dudes grown up with him. So guy Billy, who I got the rifle from, had a friend that was a counselor in the drug and the methadone center. And they just bought a whole lot of dope back from New York. He said, I got a dude that can get in there and get him. So they took me around the cleaners, gave me a shirt, hat, glasses, put a pencil behind my ear, United Parcel Service. He said, you got to be smooth to get in here because the people is professionals and the ex-drug dealers, drug addicts, but the drug dealers in there, I said, I can get in there. They paid me to go rob. So I got in there and robbed, and that was the most dope I ever had in my life.
How much?
It was a shoebox full.
Wow.
I don't know it was, but I know it was a shoebox, but I never seen that much dope.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, we robbing people, we robbing drug dealers. So, an older guy that I had met when I was 15 or 16 and my sister, he had come up with my cousins. And I was driving up Northwest DC and he was walking up the street and I called him. I said, when you get home? He said, I just came home yesterday. I said, where you going? He said, man, I just got on Peel Bound. I said, who you going to see? Man, I'm going to see somebody get some money. I showed him my pistol. I said, I'm out here doing this. He said, yeah. I said, you want to go with me? Now, I met him over DC jail. He introduced me to Cadillac Smith and Rough House, two of the most notorious killers in the city. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I met Cadillac, he introduced me. So this guy, he about 13, 14 years older than me. So I took him uptown and he met some guys. I said, man, I'm gonna get you some money since you just came home. And I robbed the store so he can go shop and get some clothes and stuff. I said, I'm gonna pick you up tomorrow. So he had got him a pistol. I said, man, I'm out here. He said, I've been hearing about it, man. So I took him over Southeast with me. We stuck some people up. So he said, man, I got to go meet some people tomorrow because I promised my man I was going to get some dope and bring it to him Saturday. I said, all right, I'll go with you. Now, bear in mind, Jeff, I come up like 2-3 days.
All right.
Pick him up, take him over there. I fell asleep. So when the people come back in the house from wherever they was at, the guy that let us in, they said the young guy asleep, but the guy that's looking for y'all in there. I wake up the next morning. I said, come on, man, let's go. Go ahead and get the dope from the people so we can go. So he said, let me go work her up. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to take everything they got. Because that was my mindset. I was kind of sick, Jeff.
You didn't care.
Taking everything, you know? So I said, man, I'm just going to take it. Jeff, we could have took it with our hands. We ain't had to use it.
You didn't need the guns, right?
Yeah, but I said, go back there and ask her who she's selling the dope for. And then we could take her to take us whoever they get the dope from. We can rob them. Instead of this stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the guy
I know where this is going. I've heard these stories before.
But it's true.
Yeah, no, I know. I get it.
So I went on, pulled my pistol out on the guy on the couch. I said, don't move. Stay right there. So I said, ask Barbara who they getting the dope from. And I think she gave him some. So the guy's woman, I said, ask her. And he took her in the kitchen. Let me give you this scenario. You see the movie The Heat with Rob De Niro and Al Pacino?
I watched it about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's a great movie.
You remember when he got his crew together and the guy shot somebody and killed him and Rob De Niro do that
right at the beginning on the street. Yeah.
He said, man, I had to get it off, man. The guy. Now go to my store. I said, take in there and find out. It stayed in there too long, Jeff, but I ain't thinking nothing.
You didn't think nothing. Yeah.
I'm 19.
Yeah.
You know, so but I do remember this. When she came out, her and the man locked eyes and he looking at her like, you all right? And she looking at him like, man, but it ain't registered. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
So she sit beside the man. I hold a pistol on her. I said, man, we gotta go, man. We gotta get out of here. His friend's woman, whose house it was, he shot her. I said, what the?
Why'd you do that?
Yeah, we just come there to get some dope so we can go.
Right.
So me not realizing how stuff got so discombobulated, I said, we gotta get out of here, man. So we kidnapped the other female. I'm so naive. We go to my friend's house, who I growed up with. Man, we gotta catch a kidnap because we ain't driving my car with these people kidnapped. And go the house I was staying with, my nephew's father's ex-woman who I was staying with. So the people that's kidnapped, we say, call man and find out, did she die? So when she called, they said, no, she in the hospital, but where you at? She said, I'm all right. I got the gun. She said, I'm all right. But they know she kidnapped because her man seen us when we take her out. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm so confused about how stuff got so out of whack. So I said, man, I'll be back. I'm going to change clothes. I go change clothes, go to my woman's house, gave her some money, and came back. So the people I'm staying with say, man, they in the kids' room. I said, what you doing in there, man? What the fuck is y'all doing? Get out of there, man. He did it again. So by this time, I'm calmed down and I realized what I done got into. You follow me? So I said, man, I got to kill her. I said, cause she know my name, she know where I stand. I said, man, this thing got out of control. This out of whack. I got to kill her, man. So she say, don't let him kill me. I ain't gonna tell. I'm gonna stay with you. I said, sure, we got to kill her. Now, mind you, this guy 13, 14 years older than me, so I'm really following his lead. You know what I mean? But I got enough common sense to realize this gonna go wrong if we let her go. You know what I mean? I said, got to kill her. He said, nah, we gonna go over another my friend's house because she know a lot of people that got some dope. We go over there, pick her up. We use her car, go back up northwest, stick up some more people. Got the dope, go back to her house, split the dope up, split the money. I said, come on, man, let me take her in the alley and kill her. He said, I can't let you kill her. I said, even let me kill her, I'm gone. I'm gonna leave you with her. I said, cause she gonna scream soon as she see the police. He said, I ain't gonna let you kill her. But I don't know she done tricked him. She done manipulated. She said, man, I'm with you. Don't let the young kill her. So I leave. The next day he called me from DC jail and said, man, leave town, they looking for you, I'm over to jail. I said, what the man, this was so idiotic.
Yeah.
You know, it was so idiotic, and I didn't came to my senses, and so they knew my first name, but that's all they knew. He was with a young guy, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So now, but remember, we got in the cab over my friend's house. So they tracked down the cab driver. And the cab driver say, I know the address where we took him to over Southeast, where I was staying, man. So now I'm on the run. So it's such a whirlwind, but I go mad. I'm just robbing everything now. I'm so a buddy of mine who was my best friend growing up, Jeff. He heard I took a lot of money in dope, so he tell my daughter's mother, tell him I need to find him. I'm looking for him. So I'm in hiding by now. So I said, what do you want? She said, he need to see you. The place we robbed had a safe in the car, and I didn't know it. He said, man, did y'all go in the trunk? We go in the trunk, the safe in there. I kept him with me. It's my best friend now. I said, man, I gotta get some rest. I've been up 2 days. He said, we can go to my brother's joint. We go up there, fall asleep. I wake up about 4 or 5 hours later. I said, come on, man, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go back to Maryland. He said, man, while we up here, I said, I'm not staying uptown. Let's go. I went against my instincts. He told me to take him uptown, further uptown, get something to eat. Police on the scooter told me to pull over. I said, the police on the scooter just told me to pull over. Take the shotgun out the case and shoot that back window out so the glass can splatter so we can make a run for it. Because he on a motorcycle.
Yep.
By this time, another one pulled up. So we got one on each side. He pulled up by the driver's side, put his pistol in my head, said, didn't I tell you to pull over? So I got Philadelphia ID on me. So Kevin Roberts. So he got the pistol, I got the shotgun. So when they take us to the precinct, I said, my name Kevin Roberts, I'm out of Philadelphia. Yeah. So I said, man, look, if she come get me, I'll be to get you tomorrow, get you all on bond. Jeff, I got 100 ones. They've been going to my mother's house looking for me, kicking the door in. They had a thing out there, I'm killed on sight because I was going, you know what I mean?
You were hot.
I was hot, man. So I almost got away and took him on another cubicle. And he said, His real name is such and such and such and such. That's my best friend. We grew up together. He on the run. They looking for him. Man, they beat me so bad, broke my arm. So they started calling the homicide detectives, armed robbery squad, and they said, guess who we got in there? Man, I had so many charges. I had about 17 armed robberies. I was on suspect for murder. And man, they were celebrating. So I heard one say, y'all got to take him to the hospital. We broke his arm.
Did they break your arm?
Yeah, they beat me so bad they broke my arm. They beat me, man, because I fought them back.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you were a big fish, right, for them. I mean, that's a big arrest.
Yeah, because they had been looking for me every day. Going to my
And
mother's
back then,
house.
I also asked before you get in, back then, most of the police were white, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, so it's not like it now where there's a lot of integration in the police force. Back then, they're just wailing you because you were a black guy and you were a criminal, right?
And also not only that, you didn't have no whole lot of guys doing certain things at my age.
Yeah.
You had a lot of my buddies that was robbing banks.
Okay.
Them guys, when they came out to juvenile jumps, they first adult conviction was bank robbery because everybody wanted to rob a bank so they could see what it was like to get some bank money or buy a Cadillac or, that was the hottest thing back in.
I mean, it's a smart idea. Why not rob a bank for a
that was
bunch of money,
You know what I mean? And even my brothers say, come on, rob a bank with me, man. You know what I mean? But I was robbing jewelry stores, Safeways, Giants, dope boys, number backers. I just robbed, you know what I mean? And they had me for suspicion for murder for a friend of mine that got killed, but I didn't kill him. But they knew me and him was together the day before he got killed. So when they send me over DC jail, if I come from the hospital about my arm, they take me to court every day on so many charges. Now, the case I told you me and the old guy was, I don't hear nothing on that till 3 months later. I come to jail September. In December, we get an indictment. I said, they know my name. Armed robbery, kidnap, the other thing. You know what I mean? Everything he did.
So a lot of so we will point this out. When he took her into the room, you don't know what went on in there, but
I got the indictment.
You knew then though what happened.
Yeah. So I'm in DC jail. He's back in Lawton because remember he was out on appeal bond.
Okay.
So, but we communicating. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So once we get the indictment, we go to court together for arraignment. I said, man, what the F? He said, it ain't happening like that. It was
for anyone that doesn't know, you found out that he tried to R-word her.
He had sex with her.
Yeah. So
I said, man, what the? So he said, nah, man. I said, man, what? Then I found when I left from my place and went to change clothes and get my daughter, he did it again in my place.
Damn.
So all this in the indictment.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to remember, she's scared for her life because she's seen her best friend get shot.
I understand.
So she don't know if she's going to die or not. And then she keep hearing me say, she got to go. So she's so shrewd. Now remember, these are ex-drug addicts, prostitutes and drug addicts. You know what I mean? These street girls.
Mm-hmm.
But they sell dope, they own drugs, they get high. But still, you know what I mean? So the second one we picked up that was riding around sticking out water, her man sent word that if he ever catch me, he gonna kill me. You know what I mean? So he got some friends in DCJ, these old timers. Because remember, I'm young. I got my young crew with me. And I don't know at the time, they plotting to get me. Follow?
Mm-hmm.
But I got some youngsters with me. All by this time, they got murders, armed robberies, bank robberies. This is when the dynamics changed in the city, where young dudes was getting murders, and you know what I mean. So I get word, watch yourself. They try and get you. So the woman's man came up from Lawton on a medical trip, and they set me up, put me in the visiting tank with me, and he stole me. But I got a knife on me. I stabbed him in the visiting tank. That's the first time somebody ever got stabbed in the visiting tank. In front of all them people. So they run in there, and a lieutenant named Grillo, who knew me, he said, Fly, give me the knife, man. Don't kill him in front. Fly, give me the knife. I gave him the knife. They put me on lockup. By this time, my whole mindset has changed, Jeff. I know I'm going to do some time, you know what I mean? And that's the first time I ever had to pick up a knife in jail. I done seen dudes get stabbed, but I ain't never thought I was going to have to stab nobody.
Right.
I'm around some old veteran convicts. Hey, Jeff, if a young guy get out of high school and he said, I'm going to join the Army. When you join the Army 18, 19, and you're a private, right? You got to follow chain of command, right?
Sure.
Follow me? So I'm with some old gangsters and people that come up with my cousins and my uncles and they used to say, that's so-and-so's grandson. And I just say, nah, I'm my own man. I don't want to live off their name and reputation. Because remember, my cousin Rabbit was one of the most vicious killers in the city. But I need to live off my own name and merit.
Yep.
So every day I'm getting in a fight. About yours. You know what I mean? So your name start ringing, your legacy start growing. But remember, I'm just a pup. I'm just a private. But I'm under some old guys like Cadillac and Rough House and Willie Strickland and these old killers, man. So my co-defendant, he's coming up to see me in DC jail every 2 or 3 weeks. He bring Lulu with him. So Lulu said, heard about you, youngster. A beast, a cold-blooded beast. You know what I mean? He the one was in Maryland with all us, Tommy and all us, the bar.
Mm-hmm.
So Lulu, he was in Attica when they had the Attica ride, but he came back to DC. So he in Lawton. So I meet Lulu through my co-defendant, and I was so man excited to be around this dude, you know, because man, I mean, well respected, cold-blooded monster. So every time me and my co-defendant go to court, Lulu and other Lawton guys come up. So we wound up fighting the marshals one time in the bullpen. That's the first time I seen Lulu at work. And we fought the marshals, we ran them out the bullpen. You know what I mean? So me and Lulu started establishing a bond on our own because he liked my heart. You know what I mean? He liked my leadership. So I came in originally now on an armed robbery, assault on a police officer, and carrying a pistol without a license. So I get 8 years for that. I took a plea and got 8 years for that. So now by this time, Jeff, the drug addicts is telling my cousins and them, we ain't going to court on Fly. Tell Fly, they drug addicts. They don't, you know what I mean? Once they found out who I really was and who I was related to. So the girl that he did that to, her cousin is one of my best friends. He said, man, what the? I said, man, I ain't know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So He said, well, she ain't coming to court, man. The girl that got shot, she survived. Her and my daughter's mother cool. She said, I didn't know him, man. But tell him I ain't coming to court. So I get to 2 to 8, then I get another sentence 3 to 9. But this is still pending. Every time we supposed to go to court, Jeff, they won't show up. Because they kept their word. We ain't tell them.
Right.
So in March 1976, I get a letter saying I'm going back to D.C. I was in the feds at the time. I was in Terre Haute. So old jailhouse lawyer named Tim Thomas said, man, if they take you back to court, that means they could better try y'all. The case 3 years old now.
You thought it was kind of done.
Because they kept saying they ain't gonna never show up.
Right.
What I didn't know is in the 3 years it's been pending, they've been catching cases. Drug cases.
And they start saying, oh, I'll talk about this now.
So yeah, that's what the Superior Court say. This case been pending for 3 years in the Superior Court. Either try the case or throw it out. So they made one last attempt.
Wow.
Contact. So the people, the ones that was catching cases, and her boyfriend, he was a square. The cab driver, he ain't, but they caught the cab driver. So they say, we'll tell. I'm 6 months from going home, Jeff. I'm 6.
And this is when the hammer drops.
So we go to trial. My family in there, my friends, my woman. And man, we hearing all this horrific stuff, man, and I'm sitting there. But now this is very important. I gotta tell you this. My lawyer, he said they don't want you. The prosecutor said they'll give you 5 to 15 for robbery. Just take a plea. You've been in 3 years, you'll be home in a year.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm remembering they kept saying, tell him we ain't gonna tell on him. I said, nah, I ain't taking no 5 to 15. I'm ready to go home. He said, man, take the plea. Take the 5 to 15, they're gonna let you go. You know, hindsight 2020, right?
Absolutely.
I said, man, I ain't taking no 15 years. I'm great. 15 years was a long time to me.
Long time, yeah.
I said, man, I'm going to go home. They took the stand. Got a black judge named George Draper. He giving me all the leeway he can during the trial. The witnesses did everything they could to help me. You know what I mean? They said the young guy, he was in the room, he ain't know him. But he did take the dope. He did pull a gun out. So they found him guilty. Found me guilty of aiding and abetting. Being in the presence of commission of a crime. Judge Draper set sentencing for July 19th. He died July 16th.
Wow.
So they appointed his cases to another guy named Theodore Newman, who was real soft on crime, but he running for a judgeship on Appeals Court.
So he's trying to, I got you.
Gave me 75 to life and gave him 60 to life.
When he says that, you know, I sent you to 75 to life. You're a young kid, right? You're in your 20s.
Yeah, 22.
And I always ask people this because I've talked to guys that got life, right? They get that word life. And basically you got life because that's a long time. 75 years, you're 22, let's say. That's a long time. What were your first thoughts? Did it really register to you?
No, I went numb, but something in my mind was saying, how he gonna give me more time than him? And I got found getting in my lawyer and them say, he can't sentence you. Y'all don't supposed to get sentenced yet. The pre-sentence report ain't written yet. So I remember him doing an article. He said, this is the most stiffest sentence I ever handed out since I've been a judge.
Wow.
And I'm numb. And I remember my mother and my sister them come to see me and they was crying and hollering. How they do that? And my mindset changed. I said, man, I'm just gonna kill anything moving. Anybody get in my way, I got 75 life.
Yeah, you didn't. It would be redundant anyway. You were going forever anyway.
But I do remember this. A lot of my friends, And Cadillac and them was mad at the old guy because they kept saying, cut the dude loose, man, so he go home. Cut the dude loose, man. Go ahead and plead guilty so he said the dude wasn't with you. But he ain't do it. Nevertheless, you know, I got life with him. You know, he my co-defendant. And so we fought it. You know, we fought it. You know, we lost appeal after appeal. So in 1985, the appeals court took my whole 75 life back. So I had an illegal sentence. And people came back to court for me, tried to sign affidavit saying, man, it wasn't him. He didn't know what was going on. They tried to help me get out. So I told you her cousin was a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And the other woman who I was driving her car, her cousins, you know, they was in Lawton and, you know, they had life. But my mindset changed to the point, Jeff, where I felt like kill or be killed.
Right.
And I became the champion of the boxing team in Lawton. You know, I was a middleweight champion. And my reputation was growing because, you know, I was the baddest thing in Lawton with my hands.
I heard you mention once in another interview you did with Eon about like Lawton, because for anyone that's not aware, and we talked about this when Eon came on the show, DC back when you were committing crimes, you went to the feds. DC is the District of Columbia, obviously, it's federal territory, so they don't have state. There's like a state prison there. It's like in my state in Pennsylvania, we have all these different state institutions.
Greater Ford, y'all got Greater Ford.
Yeah, Greaterford, Camp Hill, you know, all these different places. I heard you mention at one point you had said that Lawton was like home to you, right?
It was
yeah.
25-minute drive from DC. It was like another section of DC.
So it was like, you know, essentially being on the street. You were
with street clothes.
Yeah.
You know, guys was marrying women, guards used to quit and come back. I married a sergeant. I took the captain's wife. I mean,
wow, really?
The woman. And all Sugar Ray Leonard, all the fighters used to come down there and train with us and box with us. They had a boxing team used to go on the street to fight. I couldn't go on the street because I had life. But you know, I made 5 babies in Lawton.
I heard you say that. You had children while you were there. Because you had also talked about, and obviously, you know, I want to get into some of the stuff when you go to ADX and that sort of thing. But I do want to ask about this. You had mentioned that there was the availability of, it was essentially co-ed at one point.
No, never was co-ed.
Not co-ed. No, I don't mean co-ed like where you were in the same room, but like they had their own wing, right? Just like any other.
The women?
Yeah.
There was in another section of Lawton called maximum security.
Gotcha.
I was in maximum security.
Sure. They were never going to put you together. I'm saying they were on the same grounds.
The women was over minimum security where they got work release.
Right.
Women on one side, men on one side, but they go to dance together. They can slip off. Then they had the women from minimum used to come over to Central and work in the kitchen with them guys, and guys was having sex with them like that. You know what I mean? But it wasn't co-ed to the point where
you weren't.
You know what
you
I mean?
weren't like in the same room.
Right. They just was on one part of minimum security, the other part. But
so it was easy for you to mingle with women if you wanted to.
But now, you
had some pedigree.
We used to have sex with our women on Saturdays and Sundays and holidays.
Okay.
So every Saturday and Sunday, if your name is on the list, you go to school for 3 hours. You take your woman in the room.
Now I don't. You know, I'm not trying to get like particular here, but like, how long did you have with the woman? Was it a few minutes? Was it?
Well, it all depends on who you are and whose list you on. When I first came back, I think they gave me 30 minutes first time.
Wow.
And or it might be 20 minutes. They might say you got 20 minutes, man, because we got 6 people go behind you. You know what I mean?
So their thought there was, we just want to keep the violence down. We're going to let these people kind of do what they got to do as long.
Right.
Was that the general?
Right.
Because I see a lot of people today mention about, because I've interviewed many people that have been to prison, and I always am fascinated by people are always, they're blown away that these people have phones nowadays. And I think the thought of the BOP in most facilities is to just keep the violence down, let these people have a little bit of freedom, a little bit of it, and they'll behave, right? That's the general thought in prison, right?
That was the concept, because the guy Benny Hodges, who was the warden when I came back, when they was having these visits, he used to be my case manager over youth center on my first adult bid when I told you before I came home June 15. And he got promoted all the way up to warden. So when I came back and everybody said, man, you know, they letting us go to school, it's called programming. They got programs.
Right.
So the religious groups, the Muslims, the Moors, the Baptists, all of them got their own room. I was a Mo at the time. So the Grand Sheik say, no, you want to go to the room, I'm going to put you on there for this weekend, tell you want to be there. I said, I can go get naked. They said, man, you can do what you want to do. You know what I mean? But that was part of the program to keep the violence down, because the leaders was the one who had their own room. All the shot callers and leaders had their own room.
So it was very free as far as, and it was set up through kind of the religious basis. Real quick, how many children do you have, Fly?
Now?
Yeah.
4.
Okay. And you fathered several in prison.
Yeah, but some of them died.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay.
3 of them lived. When my oldest daughter was murdered when I was in Lawton. But what happened was this here. When I went to the feds in 77,
mm-hmm.
and I went to Terry Hut, and caught a stabbing. They sent me to Lewisburg. So I'm under some older guys that I knew from Lawton, DC jail. But when you have a reputation as being one of the best fighters out of DC, if you can think, people gonna follow you.
Right.
But you can have heart and be dumb as a brick. But
they want both.
Yeah, but my legacy is grown.
Sure.
They got 75 to life. You're a damn fool. You knock anybody out. And
so the big timers wanted you around them.
They wanted me around them. But I met a guy from Detroit who was a millionaire. And my homies used to rob him. And the guy from Kansas City said, man, you got life, get the dude. He said, man, you the only one, man, them dudes gonna back up off of him for. So I told my homies, don't rob him no more. And these guys is men, they said, who is you? I said, don't rob him no more. That's my buddy, he with me. So the guy said, I'm gonna get you a lawyer, man. He said, man, I ain't never had my fingernails dirty. He said, man, I can get dope by the trash cans. I need you, man. So we hooked up. He sent for my woman. Not my woman, my sister and my daughter, because my sister was my best friend. She was so crushed when they gave me 75 life. She said, man, I'm gonna do everything I can to get you out. My best friend. Raised my daughter for me. So he sent him for her and his woman Gigi, come to see him. We be up there. I stabbed somebody in the head. They locked me up. They let me back out. And it was a white guy up there named Charlie. They called him Jackass, was an AB. At the time, I didn't know what ABs was. I never heard of an AB.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed how he had the white guys following him and the respect he got from the white guys. So me and him used to talk all the time. So they started dropping notes on me, Jeff. The black dudes, because they didn't want me on the population, they were scared of me. So they locked me up, sent me to McNeil Island. It's in the middle of the water.
California, right?
No.
Or no, it's West Coast.
Washington.
Yeah, Washington, sorry.
And when I get out there, they won't let me out. Because the guys, it was snitches out there, some informers. And they say, this guy is dangerous. These DC guys. They said, man, if you let him out, he gonna run us in or he gonna stab us because he know we hot. So my mother went to city councilman, mayor and everyone said, why y'all sending my way out there? He was in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. And they won't let him out. They got my son in the hole. So the city councilman and everybody wrote letters for me. And so the Bureau of Prison was real lax back then.
Mm-hmm.
Director Norman Carson told say, let the man out. They let me out, Jeff. And I had a homie named Arthur House, who I knew from, juvenile and law. I said, man, this joint is sweet, man. But I noticed it wasn't a whole lot of drugs. They're like Lewisburg, Terre Haute, but the white guys and the Mexicans had. So I said, y'all keep telling me y'all gonna get me drunk. I said, I want some weed, man. So everybody was wondering who is this dude they just let out was in the hole for 4 months. Because I had met a lot of guys in the hole. And when they used to go out, they used to say, man, they got this young dude out DC in the hole. People won't let him out. They scared to death of him. So when I came out, they said they let the dude out. So now the snitches, they so paranoid, Jeff. They run around trying to get people to come talk to me. But I ain't thinking about it. But I'm homesick because I ain't never been on the West Coast in my life, Jeff.
Right.
So I told Arthur House Jr., I said, man, we got to get us a little crew together. I'm going to start getting me some weed stuff from these people, man. They said, oh, the Mexicans got it. So I said, I need a knife then. I never been around no Mexicans and no white dudes yet. Never in my life heard no Mexican Mafia, no Aryan Brotherhood, never. So I got a dude out of St. Louis, dude out of Baltimore, dude named Walter Harris, who was a rat, who told on me on the Kingpin case. He out there. And Jim, about 6 of us. So I went and robbed the Mexican Mafia, not knowing who they was. I made everybody strip. I took their weed, their drugs, the money, their wine. So we went and had a party. So the next day, I'm up in the gym working out, beating the heavy bag, and the old time named Eddie Burke said, man, don't come out the gym. They walk around looking for it. They said they're going to kill Fly. I said, I'm going to meet him.
You had no fear, huh? You just did whatever.
I had 75 life when I was scared.
You didn't care about nothing. You were prepared. Let me ask you, Fly, before you tell the story. You weren't prepared. You were prepared to die? You were okay with that?
Yeah, that was my mindset.
Wow.
Kill or be killed. Either I'm going to get them, God get me. So I went, Steve Wooten, Big Black, who was Cadillac friend, he went there for murder. So Cadillac had told him, man, look out for my little homie. So before I went to see the Mexican mob, I went and got Black. I said, I need a big knife, man. I said, I heard. He said, what's up? I told him. He said, I'm going with you. But we left while Big Black was getting ready. Plus he was in the attico with Lulu. My homies, look, he a monster out of New York, out the Bronx. So I went around to the flats. I seen about, I don't know, a group of Mexicans and one white dude, Barry Mill, but I ain't know at the time. I said, y'all looking for Fly? He said, yeah, who? I said, I'm Fly. And Ronnie Messino that's here in ADX now too. Ronnie Messino pulled his knife, and the leader was Big Gabby. And Gabby said, you gotta get that back. I said, I ain't getting nothing back. So me and Ronnie Messino got a knife fight. Big Black turned the corner just in time with 2 big knives, and we backed him up. But I don't know. The bird had, I don't know what he had. He had something vicious, but he got it beside his leg. So somebody said, police coming. all us we dispersed. So we see each other after camp. So the snitches ran to the administration and told them I started the war.
They were really scared of you, huh?
That was their chance to get rid of me.
That was their ticket, yeah.
So they locked us down, but I'm standing up there at the bars waiting for them to open the door at camp time so we can go get it on. They put me, Burr, Gabby, and some more people on the bus, send Burr to Atlanta, send me to Lawn Park. I think they sent Gabby to Lewisburg. Now, Gabby the leader. So I get to Lawn Park, and they done send word, if a dude out of DC come, they kill him. He the dude just... So the AB named David Owens was in the hole when I got there. I heard him ask, is a dude named Fly just coming down there? Me and Black next door to each other. And they said, yeah. I said, who that up there asking for Fly? So I tell my homie Lonnie and I said, man, send me some knives when I come out, man. Throw them over the fence when I come to the yard. I said, I'm taking something in the hole. In the meantime, y'all try to get me out. But the ABs, that's their home front, Lawn Park.
Sure.
I didn't know it. I ain't know
California.
I still didn't know nothing about no ABs, yeah.
You just thought there were some white guys.
Yeah, I just never heard of an AB in my life.
Because you're from the East Coast. You were from, you were in Lorton. You, as you said, you weren't around white people, right? You didn't really think about the fact
that was killers that I knew about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know nothing about Folsom or San Quentin, none of that.
And to be honest, the white people maybe you had only heard of would have been like mob guys, right? Mafia guys.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, and I told you, Charlie Jackass was in Lewisburg with me, but I didn't know he was an AB because me and him was buddies.
Yeah.
So what I found out is an all-pump bulletin out on me, wherever joint I land in.
Wow. So you had the Mexicans and the white guys after you.
Yeah. Mainly the Mexican Mafia. Because Gabby had put a word out. So you can't take these people drugs and money and expect to get away.
Yeah. They do what they gotta do.
So the people in Lawn Park said me and Big Black couldn't come out. Send me to Atlanta, send Big Black to Lewisburg, Burr there. But Atlanta got 500 DC dudes there. All the gangsters there. All the old times I grew up hearing about there. Burr might have had about 4 white guys with him.
So he's outnumbered.
He outnumbered. But I didn't remember him, Jeff, from McNeil. I told you I seen one white guy with them. He had long blonde hair at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So he approached me. He said, man, Black. I said, yeah. He said, man, I'm Barry Mills. I said, so what? He stopped in McNeil. He said, I said, what's up, though? He said, man, I'm AB. I ain't no Mexican mob. I just was with them because I knew I'm from Cali. I know some of them guys from Quentin. He said, but your beef ain't with me. So my homies said, man, do you think we got to move? I'm still naive. I don't know the severity. I didn't know how shrewd Barry was at the time. You know what I mean? So Barry, he said, man, I was with them because I knew him from Cali. He said, but he seen how outnumbered he was. Man, look, we 500 deep. You know what I mean? So my uncle was there. Hightower, I told you, used to be one of the biggest dope boys in D.C. My nephew just got here. Old man Deloach, who was the godfather of D.C., was there. The godfather of D.C. So they sent for me, Stampede in there. Some of the dudes used to box with me in Lorton there. That's that young dude Fly. All of them know who I am. So when I explained to them what happened to McNeil, how I get here, I said, the guy Barry said, they don't know Barry Neal. So one of my homies said, he in my block, in A block. I said, what y'all think? It says on you. What you want to do? So I talked to Barry. We walked the yard, and we made a pact. He said, "Man, if a black guy disrespect us, can I come to you? If a white guy," I said, "Yeah." And so he taught me how to play handball. He liked that dope. You got more dope in Atlanta than in the street.
Right.
So he loved that white China. I'm getting it. You know what I mean? I'm getting them high. And salute each other. Now, mind you, I'm grown. This is my most major penitentiary, Atlanta Penitentiary. They got killings there every month. You know what I mean? Frank Lucas there. Charlie came there. So Barry is recruiting. And he's getting bigger and bigger. He's learning more about the junk. And he got white dudes paying him. He's extorting dudes, but he got a nice little mob out there.
And that's how it built up.
Yeah. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I never forget Jeff. I said, why you keep wearing, he worked in the kitchen. I said, why you keep wearing the kitchen wipes with all that blood on it? He said, because if I kill somebody, administration be used to be seeing me with bloody whites.
They wouldn't know the difference.
When I come out, I said, yeah. So by this time, I think in my heart that we got mutual respect. You know what I mean? I'm just giving him dope. He's giving me dope. And I work for a recreation. He said, make sure you and your homies don't be in the rec center at 1 o'clock. He got word from Tom Silverstein's dude coming there that's telling on him. I said, what's up? He said, we got to kill somebody today. We'll get him in the rec shack and kill him. I said, all right. I go tell all my homies. They said, that guy respect you like that to tell you. I said, that's my man. They cut the dude's head off and kill him in the rec shack. You know what I mean?
Right.
So my homie said, man, we got a lot of respect for that dude. For that dude to share that with you, I said, yeah, because he know I work. That's my man. You know? And I should do things for Bird they didn't know. So, because I admired him. I liked his shrewdness. He was a cold-blooded killer and he was callous. You know what I mean?
Fly, can you do me a favor? I'm curious about this because if you talk to 99 out of 100 people, if you say you're in the Aryan Brotherhood, right?
I wasn't in the Aryan Brotherhood.
No. I'm saying if someone hears the name Aryan Brotherhood, they think that person is, you know, a neo-Nazi, some sort of racist. Can you kind of explain that it's really just about being white in prison? It has nothing to do with race.
It wasn't no racist group. It wasn't, man, even the Aryan Brotherhoods in Maryland, they respected DC blacks. They got along, man. We had cordial relationships. You look out for each other with commissary.
Yeah.
The beef didn't start till they killed Cadillac.
But it was strictly about, what I'm trying to say is, like, people assume that it's about racist. Exactly.
It wasn't.
It's about being white.
You know, Barry them thing was, they just was the dominant white group.
Exactly.
System. They was extorting white guys. If a white guy was rich, like I told you, the guy in Detroit was rich. If a white guy came in, Barry them was gonna squeeze him.
Exactly.
They made guys pay. They recruited strong white guys from wherever they was from. You know what I mean? If a guy was a killer and from Arizona and Barry them heard about him, and said, they might make him a flunky, or they might recruit him to make him a member.
It was about strength in numbers with all the different groups, because every group had their people.
Exactly.
But you say, obviously, there's this reported war between a group called the DC Blacks and a group called the Aryan Brotherhood, and that starts when Tommy Silverstein kills Cadillac Smith.
Cadillac.
Now, let me ask you.
Because, listen, Barry gave word to his people. That's my man. Talking about me. When we caught our case and I went to Leavenworth, Barry was in Maryland, control unit by then. Tommy had just went to Maryland for his murder. He called Leavenworth. So when I get there, Preacher is the leader of the ABs there. Preacher get word who I am. But I get there, and my old homies, who's a shot caller and them there, when I get there, they greet me. They waiting on me. Rough House, who I told you I met with Cadillac, through Rough House and them, they waiting on me. So I ain't a private no more. I think I'm like a colonel or major by then. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but my legacy is growing because they're hearing about the work that I'm putting in. And I still got the mindset, kill or be killed. You know? So I got locked up for something and burned, and David Owens, who I told you was in Atlanta, they came back to Leavenworth for Tommy to be a witness. I'm in the cell with Snell, Eddie, who won the
Edgar, right? Yeah.
he won the commissions. We cell partners in the hole.
Yeah.
And man, we in there smoking weed, getting high, talking. So Bird said, "Where Fly at?" So Bird tell Tommy, "Fly in the hole." Me and Lulu in the hole. Lulu in the hole because they scared to let him out. He come from Maryland. They said, "You can't come out here." That's how treacherous and vicious Lulu was. So I said, "Man, you think they're gonna let me out?" So Bird and Tom David, they got to fighting the police and they charged him with assault. They let me back out. When I wind up going to Marion, everything is cordial. You know what I mean? They buy coffee for each other. They trading weed and looking out for each other. Some dope come in. So Bird and Tommy asked me and Lulu if we wanted to go back to court to be a witness for them because they was gonna bring some people back from San Quentin. They was gonna have some hacksaw blades. They was gonna try to make a move from the county jail. I said, "Yeah, put me on that, man." Lulu said, "Put us on that." Me, Tommy, and Lulu, we in the van together. Got Bird and somebody in another van, and they bring two guys back from San Quentin. And they put us in the jail in Wichita, Kansas. They wouldn't let Bird go into jail with us. So me, Tommy, Lulu, and the two guys from San Quentin, we got our whole cell block. And the plan was for us to escape. That was, wasn't to go to court for them to chest. The plan was for us to escape. Plus, they wasn't in court for killing another inmate. They was in court for fighting the police on assault charge.
Right.
So it wasn't like we was being no traitors or nothing, trying to help them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy is a workout fanatic. I mean, little waist lines, push-ups, and me and Lulu workout fanatic. So Tommy said, "Fly Bird and everybody keep talking about how good you throw your hands. I used to be the middleweight champion in San Quentin." I said, "I was the middleweight champion in Lord." He said, "Man, let's do it." It was easy for me. I mean,
Wow, you fought Tommy Silverstein.
yeah. I mean, but when we box with our hands, let's put it like that.
And you gave him work.
I whipped his ass. You know what I mean? He might have been a champion in Quentin, but he wasn't on my level. You know what I mean?
Did your relationship change after that, or?
He said, "Well, we're gonna go again tomorrow. I gotta get back." I said, "All right." Lulu had a knife, and they had a knife. Lulu was a little worried it might cause some tension.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, we was out for blood. We were just boxing. But I just had too much experience for him. So when they put me back on, I had to go to the hospital in Leavenworth. And they ain't sent me back. So when they went back to Marin, the control unit, I went back to Marin, the unit I was in. I got a court order that sent me back to Lawton in 1981. That's when I turned pro. So I'm the first fighter to turn pro inside of Lawton. Me, Darren Reese, and Jack Johnson. So the plan was, if I win my first 14 fights, my 15th fight was going to be on NBC on Sports World. And they was going to drive me to Rahway Penitentiary to fight James Scott, who was number 10 in the world. I was 11-0, and I got stabbed November 22nd, 82. And the guy that stabbed me, they said I killed him, and they killed my career. And I beat the beef. 3 years later, they sent me back to Maryland, March 18th, 85, because we had a rally in Lawton. But when I was in Lawton in October 82, I seen some of the old timers hollering and screaming and crying and had to watch and post. They ran there and I said, "Fly, they just killed Cadillac." I said, "Huh? Who?" They said, "Man, we had it on the front page of Washington Post. Washington, D.C. most notorious killer, Raymond Cadillac Smith, was murdered." Man, the whole Washington, D.C. is on the uproar. And people calling, people coming down, Lawton visiting, and some of his old partners that was killers, they was, we old school with our women, they was crying. So we said, "How they kill him?" So when we found out, man, Tommy Silverstein killed him and Clay found him. I said, "Yeah." So we hearing stories, and we writing letters with the homies, and we getting all the details, and found out Lulu was there, Ron Walker Hill was there, and Beatty and some of my homies and my men was there on the tip when it happened. So we getting all kinds of big stories about how it happened, why it happened, Police set it up, police watched him kill him. But until I got back to Maryland in 85, I got the real story. And, it was on site. It's a war.
I want to ask you something. Tommy Silverstein, in his later years, talked about, he was trying to get out of ADX, out of the Range 13 and everything. He claims that Cadillac was attempting to kill him because he believed that Silverstein killed a person called Robert Chappelle. Silverstein claims that he did not kill Robert Chappelle and that he was just defending himself because Cadillac, everything kind of changed and he was threatening to kill him. And as you talked about, for him, it was essentially kill or be killed. But he claims that he never killed Robert Chappelle and that really none of that should have happened.
Nah, they killed my homie Steamboat. Clay Pham killed Steamboat.
Okay.
And Tommy did kill Chappelle.
Okay.
And
so you don't believe him that he?
Nah, Tommy was in ADX when I was there. He was there.
Yeah.
He was making man's time. But see, you got to understand this. Bird was the leader.
Right.
And what happened was, when Cadillac came back to Maryland from Petersburg, he found out two black guys, I don't want to call their name, was on the witness list to go to court for Tommy and them for killing Steamboat and Chappelle. And Lack threatened him. He said, "I wish y'all would go to court for helping them." Called a bunch of names. So Barry and them is listening. They listening to Cadillac, and the administration was scared to death of Cadillac. And he was just like George Jackson in California. He had the same reputation in the Fed. And I say, he was one of my leaders. I come up on him. I loved him and he loved me. And Tommy lived in the last cell next to the rec room where the universal weight machine was. And Lack was in there lifting the weights and slamming them down. And Tommy said, "Man, you waking me up, making all that effing noise." And Lack said, "Bitch, if I had you in here, I'd be slamming you like that." Cadillac stabbed Tommy through the bars in his arm, and the police seen it. And they put Cadillac down in the boxcars for it, rolled him up. So the contract started like that. And they said, "You got to kill him." So they plotted, you know what I mean, and they had officers working with them, and so a guy out of California named Punchy, who's old time we come up on, he told Lack, he said, "Don't move back over there, man. They got the fixing. Don't move." Lack said, "Man, fuck that, man." And he moved back over there, was next door to Lulu, and back then you have to sign a sheet saying you wreck partner. Say if me and you want to come out together, we got to sign a wreck sheet. So Lulu, Lack, and Ralph Walker Hill, they wreck partners. They put Ralph in the law library, and they pop Lack says, "Come on out, man, and take a shot." So Lulu told me, he said, "Man, tell him we waiting for Ralph come back. We coming out together like we always come out." Randy Gomez was up front, called Cadillac to get him some hot water out the hot water speaker to give Tommy and Claire enough time to climb through the fence while Lack was up front.
Damn.
It was set up, and Randy Gomez said, Lack, see, I'll get you some water. And when he go up front to get the hot water from Randy Gomez, Tommy and Clay climb through the fence, and everybody hot, Lack, turn around. He turned around, backed up, pulled his little ice pick out and said, "Bring it." But they got some street stuff.
Yep.
He fought to his death, you know what I mean? He broke one of their jaws. I can't remember who one of them jaws he broke. And they overkilled him, man.
Yeah. But he went down fighting.
He went down fighting, you know what I mean? He ain't holler, he ain't scream. He said, "Bring it." You know what I mean? He a warrior, man.
Died an honorable death, right?
And they dragged him down the tip, man, cut his stomach open.
So it was overkill.
Yeah. So that was the beginning of DC Blacks and the ABs.
When ultimately Silverstein, about a year later, with Fountain, killed a guard. They killed two guards, actually, as you know. And that led ultimately to as well. I heard Robert Hood, who was the warden at ADX at one point.
Yeah, little short Robert Hood.
Yeah, he talked about how, at that time, ADX was built. It was kind of something that down the road, like a lot of it came from some of the not being able to handle people at Marion, that sort of thing. And I want to talk about ADX, but before we do that, I know that, we'll get into some of the DC Black stuff as well. John Gotti was at Marion, and we obviously we do a lot of stuff about John Gotti. I don't know if there's a person maybe other than his family that knows more about him than me. Tell me about John. Tell me about any run-ins that you had with him. What was he like in Marion?
He was a boss. He was a boss, man, and highly respected from the administration on down. He got what he wanted. When you have somebody that's high profile and a boss like John Gotti, it made the prison more notorious. When they have tours come through and people from other states come through to make their rounds, we got John Gotti, we got Tommy Silverstein, we got such and such. Got Fly from DC. You know what I mean? He's leader of DC Blacks. And they named the highest figures. You got Jeff Bey from Chicago, you know. So John Gotti, the ABs felt like he was their property. They had to protect him because as long as he was there, he was gonna take care of them. You know what I mean? And when you have high profile figures around certain people that's black or white or Mexican, you know what I mean? Just like when I came back the last time we married, the guy Marla from Colombia was one of the biggest drug dealers out of Colombia that was in the federal system. The Mexican Mafia claimed to say he was theirs. You know what I mean? So, John Gotti was just such a high figure I was on the yard when the guy beat him up.
Walter Johnson. Yeah, tell me about what happened that you know about.
We was on the yard. I was looking at them. I was talking to some of my homies through the fence, and they told me to get up so John Gotti could sit down. They said, man, John tired, needs to sit down and get up. And John standing there waiting on him to get up. So my homies, see now also you got to keep in mind, you got different generations of guys now. You got young guys now hear all these stories.
Right.
Feel like it's their duty to be able to represent and go to war, the least little thing. You know what I mean? And then when I came back, they thought that I was trying to ignite the war. That's why they sent me to Maryland. They say I ordered the war to retaliate for Cadillac. So he got up and whipped John Gotti ass, knocked him down, and my homies got it and said, y'all better back up. And then I found out they had another group called the Dirty White Boys that came in the federal system, and they was trying to stake their claim that they was the dominant white, so they beefing with the AB. You know, and Bird and them was saying, y'all punks, y'all ain't come, y'all dirty white boys, if y'all join us, or y'all gotta go in. So once he beat John Gotti up, there's a black-white thing again. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the black guys asked me, what we gonna do, man? And that ignited another war. You know what I mean?
What happened with I heard you had told a story once that John Gotti's chain was snatched. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, but my homie, he didn't really want me to talk about it.
Fair enough.
They took his chain, you know what I mean? And my other homie was wearing it. But he I'm not taking that away. John was powerful. You know what I mean?
But in prison, unfortunately, he was around a lot more powerful people, and his influence didn't matter.
When you walk through that R&D, I don't care how rich you are, how tough you are, man, you gotta follow the same rules and regulations we follow. You can't carry your gun through that R&D with you.
Sure.
You can't carry your bodyguards with you.
That makes sense. I mean,
so even though he had some guys with him that was protecting him, and he looking out for them, or might have his lawyer send them some money and stuff, at the end of the day, man, something could jump just like that.
Do you know of any? Do you remember any other mob guys you were around in your travels? You know, during the time you were in the feds. Do you remember any others?
Let me see.
You know, like New York guys.
Yeah. What's my main name? Little Herb Spelling. Herb Spelling.
Oh, Herbie Sperling. Sure.
That was my man, man. Herb. Me and Herb was real tight.
Yeah, he was in a long time.
He was in a long time. Herb Sperling. Who else? Another guy was in Lewisburg with me. Old Italian guy was Herb Sperling. Another guy named Nick was he was a Turn Hug with me. He was a mob boss.
Scarfo?
Was it Scarfo?
Philly guy, little guy.
Yeah.
Nicky Scarfo. You were in terror with Nicky Scarfo?
Out there, but my homies used to tell me about him.
Yeah, he was a nutcase.
Philly to see him. Don't he got a restaurant or something just opened?
Is that Joey Molino?
Joey Molino, that's right. That's what that is. Yeah, Joey Molino just opened up.
Yeah, that so Joey's father was in the mob. He was very close to Nicky.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to think who's the other guy. John Gotti. Nobody top John though. Nobody top John.
I heard you mention at one point that you were referenced in a way like John Gotti, and he wanted to know who you were. Is that true?
Yeah. What happened was when they gave me the Kingpin case, and Lawton said I was running a contending criminal enterprise. They wrote an article in the magazine, the rat that told Walter Harris, he told the people in the magazine and the courts that I wrote him a letter. And I said, now I know how John Gotti feels. Right-hand man told on like
Sammy the Bull.
Sammy the Bull. I said, like Sammy the Bull. and they mentioned that in the trial and say I compared myself to John Gotti. So, but my homies was passing the magazine around and man, John said, "Who's the black guy in DC compare himself to me?" So they say he on the other side, John. So I met him on the yard. You know what I mean?
Do you like him? Did you like John?
Did I what?
Did you like him?
Yeah, man. You can't help. I mean, you gotta give him his props.
Sure.
You gotta give him his props. You know what I mean? He was a real mobster, man. I mean,
yeah,
he fake. Wasn't no imitation. John was John. Man, listen. I remember every 90 days in Maryland, they do inventory, and they ask certain guys what we want on the list for the next inventory. I remember I told the guy in charge of the conference, I said, man, I want this, I want that. He said, you can't get that because John already said he want this, and John get what he want.
So he was like the first person
Yeah.
they would do.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, respecting him, man. You know what I mean? I think that the Bureau of Prison killed him because when you got a guy that big and that powerful, they not gonna want to continue to take care of you and care for you for no 25, 30 years. I think they gave him cancer.
Really?
Yeah, I think they killed him because he was too powerful, man.
And it is known. I mean, we know this through some of the work that I've done. And they did hate John Gotti. It was pretty clear. The government would do whatever. Look at what they were willing to forgive. Fly. Sammy the Bull killed 19 people, and they made a deal with him, to get John.
That rat was in ADX with me. That rat.
Well, I want to ask you about him in a second, but I want to bring up, you ultimately went back to Lorton, right? And you were, as you talked about with the magazine, you were indicted for essentially, according to the feds, you were running some sort of drug empire.
Yeah.
And that ultimately, in a way, was, by that point, ADX had been built. They had characterized it as this place where that's the end of the road. The worst of the worst go there. And I heard Hood talk about that. And he said, we basically had realized that if we put all these people in one place, instead of spreading them out across the country, it was a lot more effective to fighting, all this stuff going on. But talk about ADX, because I've spoken to one person, Fly, that's been to ADX. He was there for like 2 years, and he's talked about how horrific it was. When exactly did you go to ADX? Do you remember what year?
96.
Okay, 96. And obviously you'd mentioned you were out in Lompoc and McNeil Island, but this is like, I mean, you look at this place, I mean, it's in the middle of the Rockies, right? It's a very imposing place. You go in and you really don't ever see the sun much again. When you first went there,
can't see nothing but the sky. You don't
right,
see
right. What, I mean, obviously, you go to the other places and they're bad. They're USPs and stuff. Did you feel differently going in there than all the other places, or was it just another place for you?
No, I felt different.
In what way?
I felt like it's a human warehouse. It's up in the mountains.
Yeah.
And see, I remember I told you I went back to Marin in March '85.
Yeah.
Came back to Lawton in '88. That's when I met Rafer.
Yep.
So a lot of my friends that was, in the drug game was rich. I ain't know nothing about crack and all that stuff when I left in '85. So when I come back in '88, the deputy director or the social director, who was my enemy, who sent me back to Maryland, he had moved up. And he was mad that I made it back again to Lord. So a lot of staff that knew me from their private days and sergeant, they moved up. So I just took over. You know what I mean? I took over in '85 before I left. I was up, but by this time, it's my jump.
You had a lot of influence.
Yeah, I mean, so people are taking care of me that's rich, right? So a guy had a bullet in his leg and got drunk and went and told the officer somebody came in the room and shot him. He stuck a nail in his leg where the bullet was. So when they locked the joint down and the FBI came in, the social director who hated me said, if anybody capable, bring the pistol in there. Just keep Gaffney Bey. Make sure you interrogate him. So this is a young FBI guy. He was a rookie. So when the lady took me in the room, she said, we got to keep Gaffney Bey. The guy said, that's who I got to get. So I disrespect him. I said, get the fuck out of here. I don't talk to no FBI. So he said, you can't talk to me like that. I said, man, fuck you. Call my lawyer. What I'm going to say to you? So he went and told the warden, I'm going to get him. He said, I ain't never had nobody talk to me like that. So every time somebody gets stabbed or police get knocked out or somebody get busted, he'll say, what about the guy Fly? And he started hearing all these stories.
Right.
Say, we can't touch him. He run the jump. I say, he got too much power. He got staff work for him. The warden do what he say. So in 1993, he went to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Alexandria, Virginia, to try to indict me. They said, you ain't got nothing to indict him for. 94, he went back. By this time, the warden and all the wardens and the staff is telling me, man, this guy's on a witch hunt. He coming here every month trying to get. So once he started learning them drug laws, started having allies down in the court system, he started learning mandatory drug laws. So he started setting up drug raids because he started hearing about what officers are smoking crack and bringing crack in the inmates, right? So he set some officers up. He said, all you gotta do is give us Fly. They said, nah, we ain't. And he started setting inmates up. So, but I'm hearing every time he come in there. I'm hearing every time they telling me. But I was so arrogant, and I thought I had so much power, Jeff. I thought I was untouchable.
Right.
You know what I mean? Man, I'm wearing diamonds, rings, chains. I'm having sex 4-5 times a week with women and officers. I'm paying people's rent. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And the warden called me one Saturday, Jeff. He said, I ain't mad at what you're doing, but if you get caught, I'm mad because I got to do my job. Caught. You know what I mean? He said, why don't you just sit down somewhere and let me sing? But you get addicted to the power. You get addicted. You know what I mean? And when you got killers and everybody under you and following your orders, doing what you're saying, and man, I come kid, man, I've been around John Gotti and all, you know, all kinds of people, killers, masterminds, leaders. Sure. So you inherit. And if you're a thinker, Jeff, you learn how to manipulate people. You learn how to finesse your way out of situations.
And you had been at the best places to do that. So you get there, it's nothing.
And I done been around people from all over the country, all over the world, mob bosses and people. So
did you think it was a bit crazy that they sent you back there? It almost seems like very insubordinate to send you back there. I mean, like to Lorton, like
hold on, my lord, we tricked him.
Okay.
Tricked him. I played crazy and went to the mental hospital.
Gotcha. Smart. So you were very manipulative.
Very much. So I played crazy, and we used a DC law that if you come.
Go ahead, Fly.
So, you know, I've been around some of the best, you know, and you steal from people still things from people that you like and that you admire that you can add to your own philosophies and perspectives about life and what you want. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But now remember, I didn't give that 75 life back twice. So I'm in a position I can go home now.
Right.
You know what I mean? I gave it back. So what happened, Jeff, was I'm around some people and I got some young guys with me and they teaching me how they used to operate on the street. So I got an organization in prison. You follow me?
Yep.
And he the treasurer. He's just like president got a cabinet because Donald Trump a damn fool. He don't know nothing. He got his cabinet. So I got young guys teaching me how the drug game is on the street and how they operate.
But to the federal government, that's racketeering.
Yeah, but I ain't know.
Right. But that's what they probably used, right? Eventually.
They did. But my mindset was I'm a leader and I'm the general.
Right.
So I had to get my people on the street to say, you don't do certain things. No, you got to have people do them things for you. If
So you thought you'd be okay by doing that?
Yeah, because no, I still got that mindset from the 70s. Like, I go take care of this.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't do that, you got to have people do that for you. You the general. You taking care of a lot of people. People depend on you.
Yeah, you need to stay clean, right?
Yeah, so you got to have people for certain positions to take care of certain things. You got to learn, man, how to operate, man, as a general. So, man, a leader got to be able to follow sometimes, but you have to listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, because, man, we can learn something from a baby. If you're hungry, the baby hungry, you're going to cry. If you need to get changed, they're going to cry. So it's the same thing in jail. You can't be so big-headed where you can't listen to some of your men. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
But I know how to work the staff. And the staff is in such, man, disbelief of how I made it back again and how, man, I'm operating in the things I have. So what happened, Jeff, was this FBI is learning drug laws. He's setting officers up and he's making deals. So he tell the administration, y'all protecting this guy, but I'm gonna get him. So a young girl was coming to see me, and they caught her coming out the visiting hall and put her to the side and took her money off of because they said they had some marked money on the compound. And they said I gave it to her, but I didn't. It was her own money. So they said use that and lock them up and send them back to maximum security. So while I was in maximum security, Jeff, they went to the U.S. Attorney again. This is the third year they went out there. But the 14 officers they called to come to the grand jury, none of them said nothing. They said, we ain't got nothing to say about him. So what they did, Jeff, was made some deals with some of the officers that they had caught in drug stings. And they finally got them to flip. But the people in Janarino's department said Eric Holder was deputy director of Janarino. They said the only way you can get somebody telling this guy, you got to send him back to Maryland. Long as he's staying low, nobody can tell him because he got too much power. They snatched me out of my cell on May 17th and put me on a private jet and flew me to Maryland. And the Justice Department said, we're going to give y'all 9 months to get an indictment. If you don't indict him in 9 months, you got to send him back to D.C. because he came back on a court order. He's supposed to be in law. But if you get a federal indictment, we can keep him in the feds. In the 9th month, so they took me to trial with the school teacher. They said the school teacher that worked in Lord was supplying me heroin. The guy, Walter Harris, who was with me in McNeil Island, was the key witness. guy out of New York named Tony Patterson was the second key witness. And they brought guys in there I never seen before. You know, rats just say whatever the government tell you to say.
Yep.
But some of my men that was with me in Lawton that used to swear they'd die for me and kill for me told on me, Jack.
What did you get in the end?
They gave me life with no parole.
And then they said, "We're done dealing with you. You're going to ADX." Is that?
Yeah, the prosecutors told the judge that we want to send him to Colorado maximum security ADX so he can die there. And
Did the judge say that to you?
no, the judge said, I can't send him there. That's up to the Bureau of Prison. They say it's up to the Bureau of Prison where they want to designate. I can't designate him to ADX. But the prosecutors begged for it. But it was on record. So when I went back to Marin already had their mind made up. They're going to send me to ADX.
When you first got to ADX, what unit were you in?
I was in they put me on the range of Barry Mill.
Okay. So you're pretty
I was
high
in E
security.
unit. They put me in E unit.
Okay. Before we delve into ADX, I want to quickly ask you about somebody, Willie Falcone.
That was my man.
Yeah. I've heard you tell stories about Willie. Willie obviously is, huge as far as down in Miami with Sal and those guys. What was your general thoughts on him?
Well, when I went back to Marin, when they put me on the jet and flew me back,
Yeah.
when they put me in that night, the administration had already told me, guess who we bringing back? Guess who came back? They put me across the hall from Willie Falcone, and he heard everybody hollering, screaming, fly back, what you need? He's standing at the bars listening. So I guess he was impressed the respect that I was getting and how everybody was, showing me respect and accolades. He sent me a laundry bag full of cosmetics and food. Said my name Will Falcone. So I asked my homie when he came out to clean up, I said, who's Will Falcone? He said it was on 60 Minutes. You hip to him? I said, nah. But I'm in law. I'm big in law, so I ain't follow nobody else. I ain't watch no TV in law. He said, man, he was on 60 Minutes, he a billionaire. I said, what? So I wrote,
You didn't believe that. You thought, wow, how could you be a billionaire?
Yeah, I ain't believe it. I really didn't. I wasn't even hip to him. I ain't know nothing about him. I sent him a kite. He said, wait till we go outside and talk tomorrow. We went out, we in red cages at the fence talking. And I was so impressed with his brilliance. Yeah, he big for real. He's a cartel leader for real.
But you liked him.
I loved him. Later on, we started talking. He said, man, I'm so glad I got somebody here I can relate to. I'm so glad I'm around somebody I can finally talk to. You know what I mean? And he get lawyers, legal visits every week. They fly up to see him. So I said, man, I'm going to need a lawyer, man, because I think they're trying to give me a racketeering case. He said, let me work on my case. He said, I'll see what I can do. So, man, the man used to look out for me, do things for me nobody did ever done in the federal system. And I went back. They gave me life. I came back. They didn't put me on the floor with them. They put me upstairs, kept me downstairs. So he hollered upstairs to the Colombian guy, Marlon, I told you about, another big. He said, Marlon, that's Moscow. That's flying Spanish. He said, that's Moscow. That's what I was telling you. Look out for him. So Marlon said, I got you. So Will connect me with Marlon. And me and Will promised to stay in touch. He gave me all his lawyers' phone numbers and stuff. Told me if I run into Sal don't know what to do. And once I got to ADX, I didn't meet Sal later on. Sal, he done went crazy though. Sal, he gave up. Sal gave up, man.
He's still there, right?
Yeah. They got him out. They sent him to Leavenworth. He got busted with some cell phones and came back before I left. He'll never get out again.
I wanna have you do something for me. You can see the screen we're talking on, right?
Yeah.
I want to show you a picture. This is Willie Falcone now. He's out. You're out as well, which we'll talk about. What would you say to him if you ever saw him again? Would you want to see him again?
I definitely want to see him, man, because we used to always talk if we ever get out. You know, I genuinely like him, and he genuinely like me. You know what I mean? And all the joints he used to be in, FCIs and joints, he used to always ask my homes, where's Fly? What's going on with Fly? And I would love, man, to get in touch with Will, man, because I got a lot of respect for him.
What I'll do is I'll put this out in a clip. Our clips do pretty well. Maybe it'll get to him somehow. Maybe we can find a way to connect you two. It's been a lot of years, so I'm sure, he's, I believe he was deported, but
I heard that. I checked on him and they told me they deported him to Cuba.
Yeah. And again, I know he's done some media stuff, so maybe there's a way you guys, maybe there's a way you guys can get in touch. That would be a cool kind of reunion, I would think.
Nice. That would be nice.
Yeah. So you say that again.
Let me tell you about ADX.
Yeah, do that.
First go to ADX. You got to go in the prison underground. It's an underground tunnel.
Yeah.
If they assign you to a unit, E, F, and D is way down the hall, like a dungeon. And I wouldn't wish ADX on my worst enemy, man. I'm talking about. Man, it's unbelievable how tight this joint is. You have officers there that's taught. You do not befriend none of these people. This is the worst of the worst. Some of the most dangerous prisons in the world. And by this time, they had me labeled the leader of DC prisoners because of the Kingpin case, and they said I ran Lawton. And all the articles in the paper and all the stuff the prosecutor said, they said I ran the DC Department of Correction. I had staff. So when I first got to ADX, the warden, Herschelberger, and all his staff was waiting for me. He said, welcome to ADX. This is where you're going to die. I said, we'll see. He said, you ain't running nothing here. I said, okay, Mr. Herschelberger. I said, I ain't come here to run nothing. And they put me on the range with Barry Mill because I came there because of the race riot in Marion. And the paperwork said that I came back to the federal system because Cadillac Smith Hill was murdered, and I was the new leader that I ordered the race riot in the yard in F unit to retaliate for Cadillac, which was a total lie. I didn't even know them guys was going to do that. And they put me on the yard with Burson. We went on the yard, Burson. They behind the door looking out the window with Rod here. They want to see what we're going to do. I said, yeah. He said, man, this is a vicious spot. They want to know if we're going to start fighting out here, so they run out here and bust our heads open, shoot us with the rubber bullets. I said, Burr, I didn't order that in Marion. That was the dirty white boys or something. I said, man, if I could have stopped it, I would have stopped it. He said, so it wasn't my people. I said, nah, that was the dirty white boys. Guy named Mike, what's his guy name? Mike's. I think I'll tell you later on. But Mike came there with me. And when we went back in, Bird and Ronnie went to the low library and broke the arm off the typewriter, and they split us up. So my homies, you think he went there to make that for you? I said, nah, I doubt it. I said, because he told me he had one. He said, man, I got a knife if you need one. I said, all right. So Bird told all his people, Fly didn't order that. That didn't come from Fly. That wasn't our people. But after they moved me from Murray, it was all for all. They started going at each other.
Right.
And it got out of hand. And this TD sent word up Lewisburg, the war back on. They killed my homies in Lewisburg, John Bey and Salam, stabbed my son-in-law, you know. And after that, man, it's on for life.
And now all of you, the guys they say were the heads, you're all kind of in one place.
Right.
It's just kind of a free for all.
Free for all.
I want to ask you. You mentioned earlier, you grew up. You were not Muslim growing up. Is that correct?
No, wasn't.
When did you convert?
After I was convicted in 1995 on this criminal enterprise kingpin case, a Muslim was sitting in my trial. And he told my sister to tell me he wanted to come over to jail to meet me because politicians and a lot of big people was talking about how they was trying this guy for a kingpin case in prison. And they was talking about the power I had. And this Muslim brother named Maurice Salakhan, who got an organization, also with Mumir Jamal, who killed a policeman.
Yeah.
Working on his case, he said, we got to meet this guy. So when he came over to jail to meet me on a religious visit, he was so profound, man. He was so articulate. And I needed that visit because I was so crushed because of them dudes testified against me that used to be my friends and my men.
Right.
So I got to turn my life around.
And that's what did it?
Yeah, that visit, because when he came back the second time, I said, hey, man, what do I need to do to become a Muslim? He said, that's not my reason for seeing you. My reason for seeing you because we got to fight this government for what they're doing to you and your family. I said, nah, I need to change my life, man. I said, because people used to always say, you got to start using your power for good, man. You too powerful to be vicious like that. You got to, but remember, I became that way because of that 75 to life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when you caught up on your own power, you do things, man, that you regret later on.
Sure. And you're still fairly young. I mean, you were in your 30s, 40s. By that point, you're not old by any means. Did you?
But I'm healthy though. I'm strong and I'm healthy. And
that's what I mean. Did you at that point though, like let's say around late 90s, early 2000s, where you're in ADX, you would kind of realize and took a look at your life. You're there. You're pretty much cut off from everybody else. Did you ever think to yourself that you would ever get out? Was that ever even you would? Because I've heard from a lot of people that have gotten life. They've said that when you accept it, that's you just have to kind of accept it at some point because you'll haggle on it forever. You accepted it.
No, because they locked my sister up in 97 and said that she was bringing me drugs and she was part of the prize. And the reason they did that because she had got some people to sign Davis saying FBI lied, and we could prove that he falsified a lot of stuff in my case. So they said we gotta get her out of the way because she don't get her brother free. They made up a case on my sister. Got some rest allowing her that she never even knew or seen. And they gave that woman 17 years, man. And after that, I said, I got to get me and my sister out. I started studying law. I started meeting people that knew law. Had my people on the street going to professors. I was writing congressmen, senators, Barack Obama. I always felt I'm going to get back because I used to say, they ain't got me right. They ain't got me right.
So you spent a long time learning your case, trying to find a way.
Yeah.
Wow.
I never accepted the fact that I was going to die in jail because I'm a fighter.
Sure. Yeah, you've been a fighter since you were young. When you were in ADX, you've been there. You were in prison 50-ish years. half of it was spent in ADX, which is,
Yeah.
you mentioned that human warehouse that it is. I don't want to say that it's a game. It's not a game, but I want to play a game with you with ADX. Couple of questions, just straight out. Was there anything that on a daily, because you have to find something good in it. Was there anything good in it that you started to do on a regular basis? You said you changed your life. What kind of things daily did you do that helped you during your time there?
Once I met some Muslims from Middle East that taught me how to pray, taught me how to practice Islam. Because when I first got there, the war still was going on. People was getting stabbed with ink pens and toothbrushes. And they used to lock me up every time something happened with DC guys. They locked me. But once I learned how to pray and I learned how to practice Islam around some real Muslims, I started loving it. And the more faith I started getting, the more I felt like God was going to give me another chance in life. I started talking different. I stopped cursing. I stopped looking at fiend books. I started telling guys don't come around me with that nonsense. But I still had that same mentality. Every now and then it'll come back, because if you around some nonsense or some negativity, you know what I mean? And then I still had to realize that, they was trying to get me. Because when Bird, Glenn, and Chris and them had their TD had their trial in California, all the witnesses said that I was #1 on the hit list. And at Chris Gibson's trial, when the rat said, they said whoever get fly will be getting the trophy. That's in the transcript at Chris Gibson's trial.
So you always worried about that?
I wasn't worried. I was prepared. I was ready.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You kind of had that in the back of your head.
It was in the back of my mind. If I ever get in this position, I'm around one of them. It's me or them.
But the good thing, if there is a good thing, it would have been probably pretty hard to get to anyone at ADX, right? I mean, that's pretty difficult.
Yeah, because they kept DC separated from them.
Yeah.
Even when you get to the step down unit where you come out with your whole tier, they wouldn't put me on the same tier with none of them guys. I might be on upstairs or downstairs, and some of them used to come myself and say, "Man, we want to squash this. We don't want no war fly."
When Barry Mills died, obviously, eventually, what was the last conversation you had with him?
When we was in the hole after they killed Gaffney Bey and Abdul Salam and stabbed my son-in-law, he came to me and said, "The order didn't come from me. I didn't order that."
Did you believe him?
I wanted to.
Because you wanted it to be over, right?
But it came from TD. Yeah, I really wanted it to be over because I gave him my word that I didn't order that in Murray.
Right.
And he told his people, he said, "Fly didn't order that." And but once they killed my people in Lewisburg, I mean, if he ordered it or not, it's on.
Right.
You know what I mean? But in Colorado is like a psych hospital.
Yeah.
Guys cut their dick off. I seen guys cut their fingers off, their thumbs off.
Just because they can't take it.
They can't take it, man. I mean, you really have to be strong to do the time in Colorado, man. I mean, can't see nothing but the sky. We used to go outside and feed the birds. That's all. You can't see no civilization unless you get an outside trip to a hospital.
What was the best food you had there?
Doing Ramadan feast.
What kind of things did you get?
Where the chaplain used to come asking me or the Muslims what we want for the meal, and I used to write what we want.
What did you eat?
I used to write the menu for the Muslims.
What'd you have? Do you remember?
Fish, macaroni cheese, and bean bean pies, ice cream.
Sure. That was probably something you look forward to.
I haven't eaten meat since 1974. All I do is eat seafood.
Okay.
I haven't eaten red meat, chicken, or turkey since '74.
You know, it's
So
funny, Fly. I found something that I don't know if you've ever seen this, but I wanted to show you something. Have you ever seen? There's a commissary receipt of yours on the internet. Do you know that?
Keon showed me that.
Yeah, I have it here. It's pretty hard to read, but um, you had a nice balance. You had about $4,000 balance, man.
Yeah, people used to send me money.
You ordered. Let's go through what you had. You had some tortillas,
Yeah,
Cheetos.
yeah,
You had a couple of packs of chocolate donuts,
right,
Snickers,
right.
peanut M&Ms. So you had some snacks, man.
Well,
You were
sometimes I buy stuff for some of my buddies now. I don't eat all that stuff.
okay. You weren't eating all that.
I ain't got no money. I said, send me a little list, man. Let me get you something. You have to do that for your homies. Somebody ain't
Of
got.
course, you got to take care of people.
Yeah.
When you had the meal, the Ramadan meal, that was obviously only certain time of the year.
Once a year.
Yeah. Were you more of a cooked your own stuff? Were you eating what they were giving you? Because I've heard the food is quite poor.
I
Obviously,
used to fix my own meals. In fact, I used to fix meals for me and the Muslims. They used to worry me to death, say, you gotta hook us up, man, because I hook up a meal and they loved it.
well, I have an idea. Maybe we talked to Ian about it. We got to get you on. We got to get you doing some cooking stuff. You cook
Okay.
some of this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I told John I wanted him to taste my tortilla shells.
I mean, I'm sure you know how to whip it up.
Oh yeah.
So I want to kind of get towards your release. How that all happened, but I do want to ask you about a couple of folks that
White guy named Joseph Bradley got me out.
Okay, we'll talk about him.
Yeah,
I want to talk about a couple of folks though that were in
I got
ADX.
plugged this phone up before it cut off.
Say that again.
I got plugged this phone up before it cut off.
All right, let me pause it real quick.
Pause.
All right, so we got the charger. So Fly. So I want to talk to you about some of the people that were at ADX with you. Some of them, unfortunately, are still there. Just kind of get your thoughts on them. Obviously, Silk, who is from your city. Silk is still there. Silk probably won't ever leave there. Just tell me your memories about Silk.
I love Silk like a little brother, and we stay in touch. He became a Muslim, and he changed his whole life. He's so serious about being a Muslim, and we've had personal talks and conversations about. Silk was one of the most vicious killers that ever came out of Washington, D.C. I mean, this man had a body count, man, that's you wouldn't believe. And we had personal conversations like, what happened to you? What made you? Told me when his father died, and I asked him, did he have any regrets? He confessed to me that his downfall was his loyalty. I mean, he's so loyal to people that show him love and accept him. And the guy used him. The guy in New York used him. But Silk told me the guy got him out on bond when he was out in Maryland and wouldn't nobody else pay his bond. And once he got him out, and the guy started giving him keys and keys and keys, it's the first time he got that type of money. So he was loyal to him. But what he didn't realize, the guy was having him kill our homies that was good people that was taking care of people in the city and in prison. But the guy was eliminating competition. Follow me?
Mm-hmm.
But all Silk is saying is his loyalty to this dude that got him out on bond and is feeding him all these keys and keys. And Silk don't get high. He don't mess with no drugs, don't smoke, don't drink. And Silk taking care of so many people in the city. But he went kill crazy. You know what I mean? And some people, once you start killing, they get good to you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this man got a brilliant mind on him, Jeff. People will be amazed at how brilliant he is. But he was loyal to a fault. And once he became a Muslim and started praying, he feels so bad about how he wastes his life to a dude that he dedicated his loyalty to, that gave him up.
Yeah, it's thinking about that, it's very sad in a way, because a lot of the people that even yourself, you made decisions when you were so young, right? And you have to unfortunately live with those decisions forever. And he is a prime example of that. And when you think
Right.
of it now, I mean, he's becoming older. You got older as well. That's the only thing we can't defeat is time, right? So
Get them out, Jeff. I'm working on getting them out.
well, I think that's honorable. I will always say, to put someone in prison forever when they do something when they're quite young, I think we have to always take it situation by situation, and we have to think about that. I'm sure that there's a lot of things that you can do, he can do to help, because you know better than me. These young kids out there today, they need a lot of help, man,
Yeah,
and we have forgotten about those people. Just like when you were younger. But today it's a little different, man. These kids today are a different breed, aren't they? And
totally different. Totally
someone
different. They don't
someone
want.
like Silk yourself can help.
They don't want no money. They don't want. They
That's
don't.
the thing. I see this when the things that I cover. I remember telling someone that I said, I read these indictments and I see like the one thing I don't find is they don't care about getting money. It's
No,
about you said something about me in a song.
right.
Back when you were, it was about money, right? It was about
This gets money.
buying stuff, Now it's just about taking people out.
What you say?
But go ahead. Oh no, I was going to ask you about another person. I talked to someone that was at ADX, and they told me this person was very divisive with fellow inmates, and I was wondering if you ever had any run-ins with him. The Unabomber. Did you know him?
I was the only black guy he talked to.
Because I had heard through certain people that he was like a lot of people hated him in prison. Like he was very like tattletale-ish, and
No, that's not true.
that's not true.
What happened was he don't talk to people. And why they call him a tattletale? Because a guy threw something in his cell, and he told the police he needed something to clean it up.
Hmm.
And the guys flipped that around. Hey Jeff, ADX is like this. If me and you go to the store every week and somebody on our tier don't go to the store and we don't talk to them and don't buy them nothing, they'll start calling me a rat. They'll cuss us out. You effing rat. But if you speak to them or talk to them, that's why I said guys be going crazy.
They just have to have some sort of conversation.
Yeah. And man, you'd be surprised. You get disrespected in ADX more anywhere else because you're behind them bars and guys can't get to you. You go outside in the dog cage, a guy might bring a bread bag out there with piss and feces and throw it on you.
Yeah, people lose their minds.
Yeah. Man, the Unabomber, his brother turned him in.
Yep.
And his brother used to write him and he used to send the letters back. But he was in a unit with me and Silk and Larry Hoover. And what's Tim McVeigh co-defendant name? Terry.
Kaczynski.
No, Terry.
Oh, Nichols.
Co-defendant. The Oklahoma bomber.
Yeah, and Terry Nichols.
Yeah, Terry Nichols. Terry Nichols up there with Ted and a guy named Cap, the doctor who killed all them people. And me and Silk and Larry Hoover downstairs. And Ted Burns said him take showers. Come downstairs, get his food, go back upstairs. Never wear no shoes. Just wear socks. And he's hated by the administration, but they fear him because he's so brilliant. But he's anti-government all the way. So I admired him so much. So one day I put some fruit on my door when he came down for lunch. I said, Ted, I said, that's for you. He took the apples and looked at it. He said, "Thank you, buddy." Went upstairs. So I started putting fruit and snacks on my door for him. So he started speaking to me. So the psychiatrist be standing down there with the officers when they feed. They say, "Why is Ted speaking to Mujahid? He never no." So Ted started coming to my door, and everybody in the unit was amazed that he talking to me because he only talked to Terry Nichols. And I started buying him stuff from the store. He won't take nothing open. He won't take no open cookies and no open chips. So he started coming down my cell speaking to me for a minute. He'll say something, go and get his tray. Then he said, "You all right, buddy?" He wrote a book. And when they told him he had cancer, he came down to my door. He said, "I'm going to give you this book, and when I die, make sure you let the world know about it." He said, "No, it's never been published." And he gave a Jew guy out of Israel book. And the guy out of Israel called his brother on the phone, and they listened to it, and they ran in the cell and took the book. But I still got mine. So my lawyer told me to call somebody on CNN or somebody that do stuff on Ted and other people, serial killers and stuff, and see if I could auction the book off.
You still have the book today?
Yeah, I'm the only one got it.
Wow. Yeah, you could probably sell it to a publisher.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Don't nobody know I got a big Eon in my daughter.
Wow.
Now you and my lawyer.
Now everybody knows, but you have it.
It's mine.
Well, maybe we'll get you in touch with the right people. I have some friends of mine that are authors. Maybe we could get that made for you. We get that done. Wow. So it's pretty wild you're saying this because it's almost like like if I have like a wild animal, like I give them little gifts to try to like befriend them, right? To like get their trust weirdly. And you almost did that with him. Like you have like a dog outside. You try to like,
And Ted, Jeff, I just seen something in him.
Yeah.
So amazed to be around him. People used to come see him. He used to get mail from all over the world.
Right.
People used to come see him, and when they used to have tours and stuff, they just say, "That's the Unabomber up there. That's Larry Hoover. That's Terry Nichols. That's the doctor to kill all them people." I ain't nobody for real. They say, "That's the guy out of D.C. They say Randall D.C. You know what I mean? Because they had to use us for statistics. You know what I mean?
These were like infamous people. Like,
right. But by me being from D.C. and they had me label the leader because they have to justify why they have people in this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And but Ted, I was so amazed with Ted. And once we became friends, guess what he did, Jeff? This is by law on my children. When he was going to Butler, North Carolina, to the medical center to die, he put all his commissary on my door. And the police was mad. Look what he gave Mujahid. Well, when he slipped that book under my door, he said, "Make sure when I die, you let the world know about this book." And they said when he died, me and Terry Nichols are the only two he mentioned.
Well, I'll tell you what, you might have something real good on your hands there. Maybe we'll have to find a way to get that out.
Yeah.
You mentioned infamous. Did you ever, I'm guessing no, but did you ever see El Chapo?
Nobody never seen El Chapo.
No one ever seen him.
They locked the whole prison down when they went and got El Chapo. The whole prison. They won't even let officers go in there and see El Chapo. They got
he's like buried.
Everybody out of F unit and put him in there by himself.
I don't know if you know, but he's written about 10 letters. He's very much trying to get out of. He's in Sam's unit, right? He can't do anything, but yeah, he's complained a lot about how horrible it is.
How they treating him.
Yeah. Let me ask you, you ever meet Vinny Gorgeous? Do you know Vinny Gorgeous? No? He's a mob guy. He was in ADX.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Vinny Basciano. Yeah, a big Italian guy from New York. Yeah. I'll show you a picture of this guy.
Right.
You ever see him?
When did he get there?
He was probably in ADX, maybe 2010s. At that time.
If I see guys like that, they be so big. If they come out in the yard with somebody, they will only speak to one or two people that they deal with.
Well, from what I understand, he's a pretty personable guy. Yeah, I think you probably would have knew him if you met him. You may not have met him, but
I probably never met him because if I would have seen him in the unit, I would have talked to him.
yeah, absolutely. One other guy I want to ask you. You mentioned Larry Hoover, right?
Yeah.
Larry has gotten out of ADX, but he's still on, you know.
He in Colorado in the state prison.
Yeah. He was pretty old when you knew him, right?
I met him in the 90s.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I met him in the 90s.
So you knew him for a while.
Yeah, that's my friend. We real close.
Most of these people, no matter how you slice it, are going to die in prison. Some have already, you know. Tommy Silverstein's died. Ted Kaczynski's died. Barry Mills has died. A lot of these people are old. Before we talk about you getting out, because it's quite extraordinary that you did get out and you will have a good rest of your life, inshallah, as you would say, right? Do you, looking back, I ask every guest I have on here this question. Do you regret your life?
I regret some things that I've done in my life.
But you don't regret it, all of it.
I regret some things I did in my life, but I'm grateful for some of the things that I've done in my life, like my kids.
Sure, absolutely. What would you tell 20-year-old Fly if you could right now?
I would tell 20-year-old Fly, pursue your boxing career, man. Try to become a champion of the world so you can give back.
Well, you look at, and it's quite interesting, you look at someone I'm from the Philadelphia area, Bernard Hopkins, right? Bernard went to prison. He became a world champion. He became, it is so cyclical.
Right, he never had an amateur fight. He started boxing in Great Falls State Penitentiary.
Yeah. And we've seen so many, there have been so many guys that went to prison that ended up turning their life. It is an extraordinary life. You ultimately, through compassionate release, would get out of prison. In 2022, you then went to a halfway house and you were released in 2023.
Right.
I guess take me back to when you got word that you were going to be released. How'd you feel? Did you think it would happen? You had mentioned you started studying law. You got with the right people, and people, are out there.
But let me say this to you.
Yeah.
I always thought I was going to get out, but at the same time, I accepted the fact if I don't get out, I'm going to die in jail being a man. I wasn't going to stop fighting.
Absolutely.
I considered it as a possibility I might not never get out. But I love my children so much. Once I lost my mother, my sisters, my daughter got killed, and all my aunts used to take care of me. They died. I just felt like I couldn't give up because they fought so hard for me all these years. My mother and my sister, they fought for me all the way till they died.
Right.
So I was meeting people that know law, Chicago, white guys, black guys. And in my heart of hearts, I just felt like I was going to get out, especially once I became a Muslim and I started praying 5 times a day. So I'm going to tell you how God worked, Jeff. I was in K unit, and this white guy out of Boston named Joseph Bradley, he was down the hall with me, and old dope fiend, but he always tried to escape everywhere he go. So, they say that's Fly, this dude out of D.C. So some of the Mexican Mafia that he dealt with used to talk to him on the yard. So me and him started speaking. Years later, I moved in K unit where he was at with Larry Hoover and the Unabomber and Terry Nicholson. This called the old man unit. This is the unit where they put you in that you never supposed to get out of ADX.
Yeah, elderly unit, right?
Because so they moved me over there because they said I'd never get out. And he came to my cell one day. Now, him and one of my homies was arguing about the computer in the law library. I told my homie, I said, you can't keep hogging the thing the man want to use. You can't just stay on there and don't let nobody use it. So he came and thanked me for that. He said, man, I don't want no problems, but your homie can't just keep bullying us about this computer. I said, man, I'm going to take care of Joe, or Brad. And one day he came to my cell, Jeff. He said, Fly, let me read your case, man. I read some of your stuff in the computer. I think I can get you, man. I said, man, I done tried everything. I said, I just lost last year in the appeals court in Alexandria, Virginia. He said, you hip to the First Step Act? I said, nah. He said, I just gave 3 life sentences back. He said, I just gave another guy's case back. Let me read your stuff. I let him read it. He said, give me 2 writing pads, 4 ink pens, a bag of coffee, and give me a week.
That was the easiest giveaway you ever had, I bet.
But when he came back to me, he had some stuff in there that I said, you can't put that in there because that made me look like I'm snitching. You can't name no groups and say I was at war with them and they did this and I did. Because, I'd have been stabbed 2-3 times.
Sure.
So I said, you can't do. I said, let me do my background and you do the law part. But jailhouse lawyers always want to be right. They always don't want nobody to touch their work. I said, I can't put that in there.
That's how regular lawyers are too.
Are they?
Yeah, they're all like that.
I say, if I win this case, it's going to be statutory law and it's going to be in the law books and computer forever. I can't name no names like that.
Sure. Yeah.
So we argue back and forth. He said, and you also have to say you got repentance and you accept responsibility. I said, I can't say that. I'm not going to say I was running a continued criminal enterprise. I'm not going to admit to that. Because they said I had a lot of people hit. Did you read that in the stuff? So I said, I ain't going to admit that I had them people hit and I did all. I said, I ain't putting that in there. He said, man, you have to do that in order to win a compassion release. Once we settled on the motion, it was tight, man. He said, send this to the courts, send a copy to the U.S. attorney, and we're going to see what happens. 2 weeks later, I got a letter saying I got 2 lawyers and I need to make a legal phone call. I called the lawyer. They said the judge want to know where you're going to live at. I said, what?
Wow.
And man, I went upstairs and told Silk I was going home, and he busted out crying. I busted out crying.
I bet.
He said, you going home, man? I said, man, I'm going home. And I said, man, I'm going on the street, man. And
how'd that feel? Because
the government fought it. The government kept fighting it. You can't let him go out. He did this. He responded for this. He been accused of murder. He had people stabbed. He put contracts on people. He had wardens and staff working for him. He's a manipulator. I don't want to hear that. So they say, you can't let him go because he never made parole off his DC time. So the lawyers send an application up there and say, put this in for the next parole board. Then they got me a black lawyer named Elmo Carter, who's still with me today. Love me to death. I love him. They appointed her to my lawyer. And I seen the parole examiner on my birthday, 21. And we tricked him, Jeff. He didn't know that the judge said she couldn't let me go and try to make parole off my DC sentence and parole to the federal sentence, right? I said, I'm a mentor. I'm a Muslim. I got 58 classes, showed them all my certificates. I said, I mentored these young guys. She said, they say you're a leader. I said, that's what they say. I said, I'm not a leader. I follow Allah. And then she jumped in. And I was so calm and composed and precise. He said, man, I was going to give you a year set-off. He said, I'm going to go ahead and parole you to your Virginia time.
Wow.
He ain't know once I got paroled to that, the judge said, I'm going to go now. And once he said, we're going to go ahead and, man, grant your parole.
Wow.
So the judge said, that's all I was waiting for. I'm letting him go home. So March 15th, me and Silk came out for recreation. He said, man, look in the computer, see if you heard something from the lawyers. She said, congratulations, you're going home. He started crying again. I was sitting down like this, Jeff. He was behind me reading, choked me. I said, you choking me, I can't breathe. Larry, what's going on? Larry, he said, he going home. Who said, give me a copy of your motion, Fly. I need to see that.
Wow.
So gave all my stuff away. You know, my son-in-law, man, he was in another unit, and staff said they would let me give him all my sweat clothes and cosmetics and food. He just came home 2 months ago. He just gave his life sentence back. He came from ADX.
Congratulations.
Named Babyface. You might have heard Eon talking about him on.
Yep.
So worried me to death every day. He just gave his full life sentence back. He caught 4 murders when he was in. So from March to June, I'm waiting. So the lawyers are pressing it, man. We got to get him out of there. So the warden came to my door, man, and said, where you want to go? Petersburg or Cumberland, Maryland? I said, let me go to Petersburg. And man, they drove me from Colorado to Oklahoma City with leg irons, handcuffed. My wrist was cut and swollen. I was in the back of that, but I ain't care. I said, I'm going home. Y'all can cut me real. I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then from Oklahoma, we went to Philadelphia, and they kept us in a little holding spot there in Philly. And after a few days, they drove me to Petersburg. And when I got to Petersburg, man, they made this big fuss. Guess who we got here? And staff was out there, and they said, we got to put you in the hole because you came from ADS. I said, I don't care. And they supposed to gave me a ticket to the bus station. The post drove me to the bus station and gave me a ticket. But they said the director said that they didn't trust me going to the bus station. So they had a lieutenant and the unit manager drive me from Petersburg to the halfway house because the director said they would watch me walk through the door. And they said that's the first time in history they drove somebody to the halfway house. I ain't care. I really did because my family wanted to come pick me up, right?
Well, sure. You wanted that, thing like everybody else gets where you get to see your family and, know.
But the lieutenant, the unit manager, she was nice. She used to live in D.C. She said, man, what you want? I said, buy me a soda and a bag of chips. And then I got to the halfway house, Jeff. They give you 2 hours to go to Walmart to shopping for cosmetics and shoes. Jeff, I just left ADX. They said I walked down the street by myself.
Well, that's what I want to ask you about that. Before you get into what happened, I want people to understand you went into prison in the early 70s. Okay?
73, September 73.
Right. You were released from prison in 2022. Okay. That's nearly 50 years. Now, I want to put this into perspective for anyone. Look, I'm only 36 myself. Okay. That is an insane long time. And you think about how much technology has changed. The world has changed, right? The things you knew just didn't exist anymore. Life had been completely changed. I mean, when you went into the 70s, you still have black and white TVs and stuff. I feel like, now we can use this to talk to someone. I could speak to you for 3 hours over the internet. The life is a lot different. Right. Was it just, how did that feel? Just looking around and understanding where you actually were. Because you had said just a few days before you were in the most secure prison really in the world.
Well, what happened was when I walked in the halfway house door, they greeted me and 2 black girls, Miss B and Diamond, working in the office. They said, you got any money? I said, yeah. They said, you can go down to Walmart, buy your house robe, cosmetics, shoes, whatever you need, but you got to be back in 2 hours. And I went into Walmart and I got scared I was going to run out of there. because people was walking around me.
Sure.
And bumping into me, and I never been in a Walmart. I ain't.
Yeah.
One time I seen Walmart was on TV on the news.
Sure.
So if you come out of cell in Colorado every day in handcuffs and leg irons and no human contact other than Silk and the people on my tier, the shoe bomber Richard Reeves on the tier with us, the guy York Malachi, he was on the range. The professor, he was on the range. He crazy. And, I walked in that Walmart and people walking around me. I got paranoid.
Yeah.
And because when I come out of the cell, I'm ready to go to war.
Sure.
And people speaking, how you doing? How you doing, sir? And I ran out and took a deep breath. Whew. I said, you home, man. So my daughter's mother flew there and there. How she got there and there so fast. And had the people call me on the loudspeaker. Keep Gaffney, report to customer service. They locked me up. Something happened. But she was so happy to see me know I was home. I said, why you had them people call me over the loudspeaker? Where you was at? I said, man, I thought I was in some trouble. She said, what you want? I said, give me a watch. Give me this. Give me that. I said, I ain't had no McDonald's since I need some McDonald's. We went across the street. I got a fish sandwich and a milkshake.
How did that taste?
It tastes beautiful to me because I've been wanting one for years. I used to eat them in Lawton because I used to have the police go get them. I hadn't had one since '94. You know what I mean? And got me a vanilla milkshake and a fish sandwich. Went back to the halfway house. And that alone, man, was another experience. So they put me in the room with some dudes. Remember, I'm in the cell by myself for years.
Yeah.
And they watch me, I'm watching them, and I'm listening to them talk. And I got 9 months doing the halfway house because the judge said after that dude done 9 months, that'd be 50 years you did.
But once you do that, it's like 9 months is nothing, right?
It's nothing. And it was a breeze, but I'm glad they did that because if I wouldn't have went to the halfway house, I wouldn't have got a chance to get the temperature of this world.
Well, that's the thing. It is a great thing to really have someone transition from where you were. You're around some people, you get a little freedom, a little bit of it.
And see, I never been on a cell phone.
Yeah.
So our brother bought me some clothes and bath towels, cosmetics, money. My daughter and them sent me money. And man, me and him standing on the porch. He said, man, you in the street. He started crying. I said, man, you had me crying in front of all these people. He said, you in the street, you home. Nobody thought I was going to never get out, Jeff.
Yeah.
From 75 to life, to natural life with no parole.
I got to tell you, man, you and I try to have you use the phone to do things. You're a quick learner, man. You learn how to use the phone quick. I mean, I tell you, my mother doesn't even know how to do some of the things you're doing on the phone. If I told my mother to do what you did, she would have no idea. So you're a very quick learner.
Let me tell you what happened. This is the truth, Jeff. When I was in the halfway house, they bought me a phone. I never heard of Cash App. So everybody kept saying, get Cash App. So the young guy that I met in Pittsburgh in the R&D out North Carolina, he went to the half house with me. I said, man, what's the Cash App? And people were sending money to his Cash App and he beat me out my money. He taking my money. So my people say, don't do that. Don't go back to jail. I say, why you doing that to me? Good as I've been every time you send me money, you get, I always give you $100. So I had to learn the Cash App. I had to learn how to use ATM machines. I had to learn how to use the phone. And they got me in the room with this guy out of Hampton, Virginia. He think he a bully. And people been telling him, oh God, that's an OG. He can fight like a motherfucker, and he mean. He's a kid. So he kept trying me, Jeff. So I was on the phone talking to my nephew. I said, I'm gonna get him tonight. My nephew say, Slim, you home. You winning. You got to jail mentality. Slim, please, man, you home. We'll come down there and get him. Don't go back to jail. I said, he keep trying. I said, he don't know who I am. So I got up and put the phone. I said, motherfucker, you want some problems with me? And I don't even curse, yeah. He said, what? I said, why you keep on touching my clothes and saying stuff to me, man? I said, you want to go in the bathroom? And the other young guys in the room said, OG, sit down, we'll get him. He said, I don't want no problem. I said, you got one more time. So my nephew and my little partners on the street, they said, man, we'll be there. And my daughter said, Dad, I'll bring you a pistol. Just hide it out. I mean, crazy. Hey, they said, you can't say that to them young dudes. They'll kill you. Can't do. I said, man, fuck them young dudes. So it was a learning experience, Jeff.
Yeah, you had to transition to life because you, unfortunately, were institutionalized, and you had to realize that you can't let people.
But I kept telling everybody, I said, y'all don't realize I'm institutionalized. I've been in jail all my life. I said, I got to learn how to relive out here in the world. I said, the whole world didn't change.
But you know, the good thing is, though, and this is the cool thing about America now, is there's a lot of people that are willing to help you, right? The stigma of being someone who's come home from prison has changed a lot. And that's really kind of what I want to ask you about now, because
you know why I love you?
Say it again.
You know why I love Eon?
Yeah.
He came in there one evening. I hadn't seen Eon since he was 5 years old.
Yeah, he was a kid.
He came down there and pulled up real fast and gave me $1,000 and took me to a 5-star restaurant and said, order what you want. And man, we sit there eating. I said, man, you learn, little boy, you 20 son? I said, I read that book, I said, that's you. And man, I said, man, from now on, you my nephew, you my family, man. Because his father was my lieutenant.
Yeah, he told me.
And I knew his mother, man. Me and his mother was friends. Before this young guy could hear about me all his life, and finally had a chance to see me in the free world, it was emotional for me, man. And people be saying, why you keep doing them interviews with him? Why you keep letting him get you caught? His father was real close to me and his mother.
He's a friend, right?
He's a friend, and this dude came down there to see me and gave me $1,000 and been loyal to me. He's been loyal to me since. You know what I mean?
There's not a lot of people like that around in the world. I mean, there are people that'll help you, but there are not a lot of people that will do that.
And he's smart. He's smart, intelligent, and sometimes he get in his own way, but he got a good heart and he means well. You know what I mean, Jeff?
And you got to take those people and really appreciate them. And listen, I'll tell you the same thing. I've been enjoying talking to you. Any way I can help you, connect you with some people. You obviously, I think, have a great story. Nowadays, and this is what I wanted to kind of end on, is the world is so interesting. People like you can do really well telling their story, right? Whether it be through a book, a podcast, having your own show. There's a culture now that is so fascinated by you and your story. I know guys, friends of mine, they did 20 years in the feds and they have 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 subscribers on YouTube and they're telling stories, right?
I want to write about my life story first, then I'm going to do my life story on the screen.
And that's kind of the cool thing now about someone like yourself. I mean, you're 72 years old and you have a whole life ahead of you where you can now get some money off of it.
Right.
I do want to mention, though, that the sad part about this YouTube stuff is the acceptance of cooperation, right? You mentioned someone like Sammy the Bull, right?
Right.
What's crazy about Sammy the Bull is he was once John Gotti's guy, right?
Right.
Do you know what he does now?
What?
He fights with people like me.
Why?
Well, he doesn't like me. He's told me to suck his dick, all sorts of shit. He's a real scumbag. Yeah.
That's how they do.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, obviously a rat is the lowest form outside of a chomo, right?
Right.
Are you surprised by the acceptance in society with people like that?
I
Because
talk about that every day. I say it's a shame that the world has changed, and once upon a time, a rat would be found in the bottom of an ocean, or it would be shunned so bad that they would
yeah,
kill it.
sure.
Nowadays, you got guys kissing these rats' butt, holding them up in high esteem and worshiping them. And people mad at me now because I talk about rape. You know, they say a little guy did a video with somebody and was calling me all kinds of names and making up all kinds of lies about rape. Bought me a lawyer and you know, I don't even know the little guy. Say he was in love with me. I ain't never seen him a day in my life.
There's always going to be those people that come out of the woodwork, say they knew you, you know,
Yeah,
you did this, you did that.
I don't know this little guy. Never seen him. He's told all kinds of lies because Eon did a video about rape. I say he's disgusting. He's a scum of the earth. He's a rat. And I say, and rat sympathizers are worse than him. Anytime somebody sympathizes with a rat or deal with a rat, to me, you just as worse as a rat.
Let me ask you something, because this is a slippery slope, right? So I have this show, right? I've done it 5 years. And in the world of the mob, which is the most of the stuff that I'm doing, those people I've had to have interactions with. Okay.
Right.
Period. I guess the question to someone like yourself is, how do you look at someone that's just like a journalist or somebody in the media? Don't you think that we have to almost speak to everybody, right?
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, I've never met none of these people. I wouldn't sit down and have dinner with these people. I don't personally agree with their decisions. That said, I didn't live their life. I'm not in the streets. Okay.
Right.
I'm not a gangster. I'm not in that life.
Right.
Never been to prison. For me, I haven't interviewed a rat in over a year. And I wouldn't again, because I've learned how these people operate and just the shiesty snakes that they can be. Yeah, they are. And I've learned, and I'll tell you this, Fly, before we end. My problem is the pedestal that they been put on, right?
Right.
You know, and to me, that's really the sick part of it. I've done it because it's part of what I do, and unfortunately, but I never put them on a pedestal, and I never would. And I think you're 100% right in terms of the culture has done that, and it's a shame.
It's a shame because what they don't realize. Let me say this to you. Rafer was one of the biggest came out of DC, and I used to love him. He's called everything. Once you become a government farmer and you give up somebody's freedom and their liberty, it's nothing worse than a government informer. My sister never smoked, never drank, never clubbed because she was fighting for her brother's freedom and joining organizations. People don't realize how wicked and vicious the government is. The FBI and them say we have to set a sister up to get her out of the way. She was raising my grandsons for me from my daughter who was murdered. They went in her house and took her out of there and got some rats to lie on her.
Yeah, it's a shame. Listen, I will, and going forward in this show, I will do anything I can to, and that's why I think down the road you should speak to Joey Merlino and what they're doing, because they're trying to.
I'll speak to him.
They're kind of trying to show kind of the. You know, right now the government has approximately 400,000 active informants on the street. They need them to make cases. Without them, cases don't exist. But here's the good thing. You're out, Fly. Those people, unfortunately, will have to meet their maker someday and explain their behavior. You and I wanted to share some photos. You're enjoying your life now, right? You're out there. You're having good meals. You're doing your thing.
My daughter's house, she made me some fish, black eyed peas, and cornbread.
I mean, it looks great.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Yeah, hopefully one day, I can meet you, try to point you in the right direction, some good things.
Good.
What's as we end, kind of what's the next 5 years look for you? What do you want to achieve now?
I want to open me up a gym and train me some young guys and make me a champion.
I love that. I
I
love
want,
that.
want to take some young guys off the street. Everybody, all my friends and old times in the city keep saying, when you gonna get your gym?
Well, here's what I'll say. I don't want to do all these promises, but if I can help you get that off the ground, I'd love to help you. I'd maybe put you in the right place for people. We need mentors. We need people to get to young people nowadays.
Right.
I think you could do a world of great. Can you? I mean, you still can fight. I know that.
I can fight.
Do you still work out or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm strong as a bull. I still work out.
Well, they have these celebrity boxing events now. Maybe we can get you in one of those.
I want to spar with Bernard Hopkins.
You want to get with Bernard? That'd be cool. Bernard, listen, he's retired now, so
I'm
sure.
I'm gonna put on an exhibition with him so we can raise some money.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's great. Well, listen, Fly, I got to tell you, and I mean this. I've interviewed a lot of people. I've done this, like I said, 5 years. This was the best interview I've ever done. I mean that. Yeah, I could talk to you for hours. I don't want to, I'm sure we'll have you back at some point.
Yeah.
I really appreciate Eon for kind of making the connection.
I do too. Eon, beautiful, man.
Yeah, he's a good man. And
old Lord pictures of me and some new pictures of me. I want you to show them old Lord pictures of me in the visiting hall with my girls.
Where's this picture at? This picture here.
That's in Marin.
Okay.
That's in Marin when I was crossing hall from Willie Falcone. He loved that picture. I gave it to him.
You look like a real, like you look.
I was
you look like a guy I wouldn't want to mess with.
I want to get in touch with Will Falcone too, man.
Yeah, I think that's something we could definitely do. I'm going to put a clip out of you talking about him. Hopefully it can get to the right people. That's the cool thing about social media is it can get to all sorts of people. So listen,
social media too. You got people talk bad about you, lie on you.
Fuck them.
That's how I feel.
Hey, listen, the cool thing now is you can watch my show and hate what you do. As long as you watch it, I get something out of it. So, Fly, look,
man, I got that book.
Keep that on hold right now. All right.
Yeah.
We're going to talk. Listen, Fly, I really appreciate you coming on with me. I know the listeners enjoyed this.
I hope so.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch, you and I. And do me a favor. I'm going to end the stream. Just stay on while I end this.
Okay.
Any final words you want to tell anybody? Feel free.
Man, final words is I appreciate you giving me this opportunity. Also, man, I like what you're doing. You're helping us give back this way. And I'm just so thankful to God Allah for giving me a chance, man, to live the rest of my life in the street, man. And whoever follow you, man, I appreciate you giving me a chance so they can see me and hear me. And hope we can do it again, man.
I'd love to, and I really mean that. Maybe we'll do it.
May Allah bless you too. You're a young guy. You're doing some good things, man.
Thank you so much. I mean that. It means a lot to me. Maybe next time we'll do this in person. We'll try to get connected. You're not too far from me.
That'll work.
Fly, listen, thank you. Hang on here. I'm going to end the stream. Thanks for coming on. And thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed what we did here, comment below. Let me know what you think. Maybe old guys, maybe were around, they knew Fly. Feel free to comment. I'll make sure I get all the messages to him. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week here on the Sit Down.
Peace be with you.